Welcome back, everybody. I hope you went to the washroom. I hope you got your snacks, and I hope you are ready here. We are going into our second match, our second set of best of threes for our semifinals here today for CCSW Rainbow Six. We've got a good one coming up here. It is Victoria's Secret going up against Disrupt Gaming. But before we get to that, I am Brimstone, of course, and we've got Red Cube, we've got Azaraki here, and we are set to do it. It's going to be a good match. We just came off of Artemis taking on Queen Yolo Mid. They actually took them 2-0. Not the outcome I think that we were predicting. I think we thought it was going to be a lot tighter between Queen Yolo Mid and Artemis, but it will be Artemis playing tomorrow in the grand finals. If we could just get the brackets up quick there, we'll give everyone a picture of what's going on. Of course, as I stated, Artemis taking the victory there over Queen Yolo Mid, so we'll see them tomorrow in the grand finals at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the third place match will be taking place at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be Queen Yolo Mid, and we will decide with the next match who is going to play who, when, where, all of that jazz, everything that's coming up. So, Victoria's Secret, Disrupt Gaming. Let's take a look at the standings here, get a picture of why we are where we are today. So of course, that first seed and that fourth seed there, that is Artemis taking on Queen Yolo Mid. That's how they faced off. Right now we're looking at the second seed taking on the third seed. Victoria's Secret, Disrupt Gaming. Very tight, with Victoria's Secret taking the edge in points for the season. But interestingly enough, one of their two losses in the season actually came against Disrupt Gaming. Do you think, Henry, that Victoria's Secret will have that in the back of their minds going into this match?
I mean, I think they should have it in the back of their minds. I think that's something you need to have, because if you're going up against a team that you've previously lost to, you need to know, what did I do wrong that game that resulted in us losing that game? And it was a fairly convincing win by Disrupt. It was 7-3 in favor of Disrupt. So there obviously was quite a bit going wrong, or quite a bit going right for respective parties. So if I'm Victoria's Secret, although my record is better and although I've played better throughout the season, when you look at the game that really matters coming into this game, it's probably going to be that Disrupt game where you did lose 3-7. The one problem is with that theory is the fact that game took place in week 2. That is so far away from where we are right now. I don't even think I was casting yet in CCSW when that game happened. So a lot has changed.
I'm not even sure if Red Cube was born yet. That was
I don't
so
think I
long
was.
ago.
It was that long ago. But no, it was a distance ago. It's been so much has changed in terms of play style, in terms of comfortable maps, in terms of really anything that is important in the game of Siege. So yes, you want to look back at that game if you're Victoria's Secret, and also Disrupt probably wants to look back at that game as well. But you have to, again, it's so far away. There's kind of some more problems and more things you probably want to be paying attention to instead of just that week 2 matchup.
Now, Azaraki, they did play that match on Clubhouse. Is this an instance, if you're Victoria's Secret, do you want to shy away from it, or do you want to remember what happened and hopefully go back in and take it if they were to go to Clubhouse?
I think it's probably safer to just take Clubhouse away, or at the very least shy away from it. Maybe don't pick it and it ends up being a decider, but definitely I would say I would lean towards banning it. I probably wouldn't pick it during my rotation if I were them, because again, it's always at the back of your mind, and even though you have footage of that map, Disrupt also has footage of that map, and they can see your tendencies as well, so it sort of works both ways there. And I think, again, it would be safer to just ban out Clubhouse. I do also want to talk about recent form too, because Disrupt, in their last 3 games, they went 2-1 with their only loss being to Powerhouse, and that was, interestingly, during Powerhouse's little stint where they took out the 2 second place teams back-to-back in their weeks. Meanwhile, the Victoria's Secret, they went 3-0 during their last 3 matches. They won against 8K, Outdeuced, and Queen Yolo Mid, so Queen Yolo Mid being another playoff team. So I think Victoria's Secret are looking more on form for this match with their recent results as well.
Yeah, I would say, I think Victoria's Secret actually might even be on a 6-game winning streak at the moment. They've just gotten better and better as the season has progressed, and they have a lot of big names on that team. Of course, on Victoria's Secret, we've got that one Brit, Rachel Boo, Lil Lexi, Sketchopotamus, and Estrella, all very well-known players, and they'll be going up against Chameleonaire, Dope Girl 20, Maddox, Fry Queen, and Jahui, who I believe, who were they filling in for again, Henry? Was it Wolf K?
Jahui is filling in for Wolf K, so there's going to be a sub for DG.
Yeah, and of course, but they've always got the ever-present threat of Maddox there, the ace queen on the team, as it were. She is just one of those players that at any given moment can drop 20 kills in a match like it was nothing, and then get some aces somewhere in between there as well. Not to take away from the other players, of course, but two stacked lineups. I personally, and out of no partial favorism or anything, I would just have to say I'm giving the advantage to Victoria's Secret just because of their trend throughout the season. Their confidence coming into this matchup, I think, is huge. I think they're, as you said, Henry, you have to remember the fact that you're going up against a team that did beat you, because you never want to let that slip and forget about the past. But at the same time, I don't think they're bringing it in as a negative. I think they're probably coming in with confidence and looking to take that win back, as it were.
Yeah, and we've been talking about the mentality of these players going into this game and where they're going to play, but that's exactly what we need to talk about now is where are they going to play? What maps are going to be present in this phase? As we are going to be looking at the map bans here very, very shortly. Like we were talking about earlier, we were expecting the Clubhouse ban to be, I think, almost immediate because, again, it was that loss where Victoria's Secret, they lost against DG on Clubhouse. And again, it's just one of those maps that has been played so much in CCSW that if we see a Clubhouse ban or if we even see a Clubhouse played, there's just so much information that every single team can get from a Clubhouse being played. So I really do not want to see a Clubhouse being played for the sake of both of these teams, because in the finals as well, you just don't want to play on that map. There's too much information available for everybody, and information and intel in the game of Siege is absolutely everything.
And just to let everyone know, Red Cube must really not want to see that match, as he is contractually obligated week by week to talk about how much he loves Clubhouse and how much he wants to see it
so
played.
I'm breaking contract right now.
This is big right now. This is a big moment.
And one other thing I want to mention, Disrupt have not had a very good record on Cafe. They've been losing quite a bit, and against the other playoff teams here, against the three other teams, they won against Victorious in Clubhouse, but they lost to Artemis and Queen Yolamid on Cafe both times. So I think I would actually expect to see Disrupt ban Cafe maybe second round, because they banned Villa their first round. Or maybe they decide to use those games as footage to try to improve and see what's going. But we do have the first two bans being Coastline and Villa. And now we're going to be looking toward what each of these teams picks. It's ban, pick, ban, and the last map is the decider.
Yeah, so the first pick coming out for Victoria's Secret is actually going to be Cafe. And that's something we've seen before. We saw the Artemis game was on Cafe, and I think a lot of teams are starting to get really, really comfortable on this map. And that's not at all what we saw at the beginning of CCSW. CCSW, until about, I think, week 7, we didn't see a Cafe or a Villa once. But then after week 7, week 8, and week 9, we saw Cafe and Villa at least once every single day. So it just shows there's a complete switch of the meta, and well, actually, not, I won't say the meta, but a complete switch of where the teams were comfortable. And well, we're seeing it once again here as Victoria's Secret are able to take Cafe, and then on the other side of things, Disrupt is actually going to be picking Consulate. Consulate is one of those maps that really has not been played very often, and the only times it's been played has been by Disrupt twice, actually.
And so one thing I also want to talk about is I really like the fact that Victorious was the team to pick Cafe. So not just the fact that we're playing it, but Victorious, they realized that Disrupt haven't really been performing against the higher teams in the bracket when it comes to Cafe. So they're targeting that as a weakness, and they have a lot of footage to see how those other teams, namely Artemis and Queen Yolamid, how those teams broke Disrupt Gaming on that map on Cafe. And speaking of, their loss to Artemis was 1-7.
Yeah.
To only win one round in a competitive match when you are the third ranked team, that's pretty crazy. So they do have a lot of really good footage there. And it looks like with our last 2 bans, the decider will be Clubhouse. So bringing it back to the map that Disrupt did beat Victorious on.
Yeah, I don't like that pick whatsoever. I think that I wouldn't say that it's in favor of anybody, to be honest, because yeah, Disrupt, they won against Victoria's Secret on the map of Clubhouse, but there's just so much information on Clubhouse. That matchup was in week 2. So much has changed. I really just don't like that map pick in general because it's just a downside for both of these teams. Both of these teams have so much intel. It's really just a game of who did their homework better, really. And we're just going to have to wait and see. It might not even get to the decider either. So we're just going to have to kind of flesh this game out, because in the EU side of things, we saw that the first time around it was extremely one-sided. The first 2 games went 2-0. There was no best of 3. But then the second game came around on the EU side of things, and if history repeats itself, well, the second game of EU was extremely close. It went to a best of 3 and went the absolute distance. And if things kind of go the same way, we could expect that here, and we will see a Clubhouse. But again, that's just kind of skepticism and making crazy theories that aren't really based on too many truths.
Well, speaking of theories, I do want to basically toss out who I think is going to win, and I think it's going to be Victoria's Secret, partially due to the things that we've seen, partially due to the fact that we have seen the maps now, and I think that's honestly a really important aspect of your prediction, seeing what maps are going to be played. So I think they're going to be able to do Cafe really well. But the main reason I think they're going to win is that I remember seeing Disrupt, and this might not be true for every week because I was busy for a few weeks, but I saw Disrupt. They got shaken more than other teams did when they were on the back foot, and I think that lends itself. I shouldn't say lends itself, but that sort of speaks badly when it comes to a best of 3. When it comes to a best of 3 series, you need to be able to take a couple of losses in a row, and just reset your mindset after that. And I think that's an area where Disrupt haven't really been as clear as the other teams.
Yeah, I mean, the more games you play, the better you have to be at getting back up when you've been pushed down. And that's something we haven't seen from Disrupt, even in best of 1s. Best of 1s are really closed in terms of, okay, we got next game, because there is no next game. It's just simply this game is this game. But now you're in a best of 3. You could have best of 5s, best of 7s. You could go on the list, blah, 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 blah. But in a best of 3 situation, you cannot get inside your head. And if you get knocked down, you need to get back up, especially in a game that determines who's going into the grand finals. You don't want to be making petty mistakes like that where you just get mad at your teammates or you get mad at the way you're playing and just kind of start throwing the game simply because you are down. You can't do that. You have to have a strong mental game, and that's really, I think, where Disrupt is going to be tested today, because like you said, throughout the season, when they went down hard, and they didn't have really too many glimpses of getting back up.
And we have been through the ban phase as well. We see Capitao, Thatcher, Mira, and Kaid. So Mira and Kaid, pretty standard bans. Kaid at this point has grown more popular in bans as more people figure out how to properly play him, how to Kaid trick, how a lot of his kit works, getting used to his weapon and all that, and he's gotten stronger and stronger over time, so it makes sense for him to be banned. The Thatcher ban is what I'm really looking at right now, because when you're thinking about a map like Cafe, the Thatcher ban would be useful for hatches and first floor, but it doesn't seem like he would be incredibly important unless you're trying to push in through the third floor where there are a lot of reinforced walls. So that sort of tells me that let's see, which team, I forgot which team banned the Thatcher.
The Thatcher is going to be banned by DG.
DG, yeah. So it tells me that DG probably want to stray away from the bottom site for defense, because the Thatcher is just not that important there.
Yeah, and I think these bans...
It is pretty important on the bottom site because you have the freezer wall. That is my mistake.
Okay, but I think these bans are just a little bit... they're a lot different than the bans we saw before. We saw an IQ, and I can't put my finger on what the other ban was, but they were kind of odd bans that we saw with the Artemis and Queen Yellow mid-game, and it completely dictates the way Cafe is played. The bans are really, really important in Cafe, and they can completely change the way a team pushes, a team holds, and so on and so forth. And with the Thatcher ban, with the Kaid ban, with the bans that are a little bit more typical, I think we're going to probably see a little bit more I'd almost want to say one-sided game here, because I think the team that gets out early and sets the tempo first is going to be the team that just kind of controls the game, because there isn't any useless bans. There isn't any ban that is going to allow the other team to come back into the game, because if the defense here capitalizes on the fact that, hey, well, actually, the attack here, if they capitalize on the fact that two of the extremely important defenders are off the board, we could easily see the attack get a couple rounds and then just kind of take it all away on defense, if that makes sense.
And speaking of bans, Maestro slips through once again. Nope, not banned for this map, nor was he banned for the last series. So we're going to see quite a bit of Maestro, as this is a very good map for him. He's got a lot of long sightlines, especially here when he is sort of tasked with defending the third floor. As we can see, he's got his reinforced wall to hide behind. It's a very standard spot for a Maestro to play, and it works so well because, again, he's got the ACOG, Alda, fires incredibly quickly, does a lot of damage, you can get headshots with it. A very good weapon, so he's playing in a spot that allows him to take advantage of the ACOG and the long lines of sight. And aside from that, they only need one or two other people up here on the third floor in order to shut down an attacker push.
Yeah, as we're seeing, this up top hold from DG is actually working fairly well. Half the round has gone away, and not too many advances from the attack. As speaking of advances, Sketchaponus tries to advance and gets shot right in the head by Jahui, and just like that, so much up top control, and the site isn't even upstairs, remember. This isn't an upstairs site, it is a mid-floor site, and the fact that not one attacker has even stepped up onto the same floor as the site is very concerning if you are Victoria's Secret. I think Estrella, just as I say that, was stepping down, but she is also dead. With that one, Britt is there to get the refrag, but the man advantage is still in favor of the defending team, and time is slowly ticking away for Victoria's Secret.
So we're finally seeing the attackers move down to the second floor, and they're actually getting a few picks off of it, as well as Little Lexi takes Maddox out too. They have a decent amount of control here over Fireplace, and it doesn't look like they're going to meet too much resistance as they push into the dining room. So we'll have to see where the defenders are playing. I think one of them is still on the third floor. Two of them, actually. We saw Mozzie and Maestro playing the third floor. So now we're just seeing Chameleonaire see what she can do as sort of the anchor on the site, but Little Lexi takes her out with a headshot. So now we're going to see how these two others can rotate down. Dope Girls gets killed right off the bat as soon as she drops, and now just Jahui on the Mozzie, the sub for the team, getting one kill. That's her second for the round, but the defuser is down, and she still has two to get through. One of them has about one shot of health worth left, so it's not going to be too hard to take her out, but she doesn't have the information on where the attackers are. She sees the Claymore, takes it out, but that just tips off one Brit to where she is, leaving her to peek around the corner and snag that kill. Victoria's Secret take round one in this best of three.
That's actually not at all what I was expecting to happen. We saw the DG had hold from really, really good control almost the entire round. They forced Victoria's Secret into a position where they didn't have upstairs control, they didn't have the main floor control, they didn't have really any map control whatsoever, and there was only 50 seconds left. The problem is DG didn't recognize that, and they then didn't rotate fast enough down to site. So when Victoria's Secret said, all right, guys, we kind of just have to say, let's go, and let's push on a site, nobody was down in the site to support the support players. It's just a big misplay there from DG, because that is a round they definitely should have won, considering how much control they had. It's just they did not rotate quick enough, and Victoria's Secret capitalized on that 100%.
And so speaking of adaptations and Siege being a game of adaptations, we see a Clash pick here. That's a very interesting one. It's always nice to see a Clash being played, because you know it's going to switch something up, and there's going to be a lot of action wherever she is. So I think this one, I imagine she's going to play around Piano or the Piano or Cigar, because there's so much space that you can deny. And as we saw in the first match of the day between Artemis and Queen YOLO mid, it was pretty hard for the attackers to get into the building when it was this top floor site, and I think a Clash sort of emphasizes that as well.
Yeah, especially on the side of Artemis in that first game, they just struggled incredibly to try to get onto the building, into the building, get any type of presence. when this site was being played. So we're going to have to see if history repeats itself here. But it's definitely a different setup than what we saw in the first game. We saw a castle being brought, but the castles now from Maddox are in completely different positions. We saw they're now more reliant on windows instead of doorways like we saw in the first game. And that's definitely going to allow the defenders who are in sight to play a little bit more comfortably and a little bit more free, knowing that nobody's going to come rappelling up their window, bust down a barricade, and then shoot them in the back of the head. Whereas Clash player playing on that pixel spot, this is a really nice spot for a Clash to play, but I actually almost want to see maybe a Jaeger or somebody behind her, because Clash then can spit information to that player, and you could potentially pick up a couple of frags. But it looks like Clash is going to be kind of just soloing there, and we're going to have to see how that turns out. But FryQueen, unfortunately, is going to be disconnected from the game, and that's just basically a man down. I think there might be some computer issues or connection issues, and that just hurts DG just a bit.
I was about to talk about the position Clash was playing in, but that is a little bit useless now as FryQueen does disconnect. So that leaves us with a 4v5, but basically the way she wanted to play that position was she wanted to shut down any attackers from once they get into Piano Room. A lot of times defensive teams like to prevent attackers from even getting into Piano, but the way she was playing shows that it's okay if the attackers get into Piano, but they're not going to be able to push through it or rotate out of it or anything like that. As soon as they're in Piano,
open the wall,
they're in.
even.
Yeah, they won't be able to open the wall either. That's a really good point. And so I think that was a really strong position. So it's very unfortunate that she ended up disconnecting, especially because she had, I think it was Chameleonaire holding the stairs behind her and holding the bathroom hallway. So it was a very safe position for her as well.
Yeah, out of all the players that you really don't want getting disconnected, I think Clash was #1 on your list, because Clash is one of those operators that when there's a strat with a Clash in it, it almost 100% revolves around the Clash player. And the fact that
look how
Clash
much piano
was
control there is.
Yeah, exactly. And this could have been completely denied by that Clash player, and it's just unfortunate that it was some technical issues that resulted in this. But Rachel Boo was able to find 1 kill, and just like that, it's all falling apart for DG. And Victoria's Secret quickly and decisively win round #2.
Yeah, they just got frags all over the board. Look at Sketchpotamus's kills. It's just peeking out a couple of bullets, peeking out the other side a couple of bullets. That was very clean, a very confident play as well. There was no part of that looked like she was nervous or anything like that. Just 2 clean kills, and that's beautiful, honestly. And so Victorious, they're feeling the confidence right now. Disrupt, unfortunately, again, it's a round like that is even harder to tell how much impact the disconnect had, because again, as Redcube mentioned, their entire strat was basically revolving around that, and without that, there was free piano control for the attackers. They got all the walls open, and once they got the walls open, there was just pick after pick after pick. So, and you can definitely make a case for the round going to Victorious because of the disconnect.
And you could say, well, why don't they just do it again? Which it looks like they are doing it again. But the problem with just doing it again is the fact that they've already shown their card once. And the attacking team is probably going to bring some type of counter, and exactly that, they do bring a counter. They're now bringing a Zofia. They did not have a Zofia in play last time around, and Zofia is a really good counter to Clash. So it shows that the attacking team, even though the Clash wasn't really doing anything simply because of that disconnect, they are expecting it this time around, and they are bringing a proper counter to try to address it. So it just kind of hurts DG a bit, because we don't know what the hypotheticals and the circumstances and what could have happened if this happened and things like that. But something we do know is the fact that disconnects are always unfortunate. So now going back to this site, basically replicating the last round, it's not really a question of what is DG going to do differently, because they're not doing anything differently. The thing they're just going to rely on now is hoping that none of their players disconnect and none of them die off early. The problem is, if that Clash is the one to fall off early, who's to say the same thing doesn't happen? Who's to say it's not an explosive and very decisive round from Victoria's Secret, because they have the utility, they have the ability to get rid of that Clash extremely quickly, and then the same thing can just repeat itself.
At the very least, we're probably going to get some closure from this as to what could have happened last round, because, again, Disruptor playing the same defense here. So, again, like Redcube mentioned, there is some adaptation by the side of Victorious to basically take advantage of it. They have Buck for frag grenades and vertical play. They have the Zofia to basically knock her shield aside. So they are prepared for this sort of strategy. But as you can see, they're taking a lot more slowly. And this is sort of the point that the clash was supposed to be. She was supposed to deny Piano, make sure that the attackers can't do whatever they want here, and this is how the strat comes together. Chameleonaire's watching the stairs, making sure that Clash has a very easy way to rotate out. Jihui is also helping with that as well, and overall, I really like this setup by Disrupt Gaming. The only problem, again, is that Victorious saw it last round.
Yeah, but it still seems Victoria's Secret are a little bit taken back by this clash, and they don't exactly know what to do with it. And I was just going to say someone needs to get on that back window, and somebody does, but Rachel Boo is able to find the first kill. That's going to be on the supporting player for that clash. It's going to be Chameleonaire down and the Jaeger down, as well as a frag grenade takes down Jihui. So Clash is going to have to retreat with nobody supporting her. Well, she's put in a position where basically she's just going to sit here and try to waste as much time as possible because, well, she doesn't have the most reliable weapon, and she's not somebody you really expect to kind of win her gunfights. But Maddox is coming up the white stairs, looking to support the clash, and this is a nice position for Maddox to be, but it could easily be snuffed out from the attack. Dope Girl is able to find one, though, onto Estrella, and that's going to be the Zofia off the board. So the one extremely hard counter to Clash is going to be off the board, so that's a really good kill for the defense. But I mean, if you're the attacking team, time is running out, but you are getting that diffuser down. And I don't think, does anybody on the defense know that the diffuser is coming down? No, it's going to be successfully planted, and now it's a retake situation. Lil Lexi's able to find one, and Dope Girl. It's going to be a 4v1. Everybody against the clash, and yes, we've gotten closure, but I don't necessarily know if it's the most positive closure if you're on the side of DG, because this is not looking good whatsoever for them. And just like that, the round is over, and Victoria's Secret 3-0. in favor of them. And we said this earlier on, DG, they tend to get inside of their heads when they are put up against a wall and they start to slip up rounds, and they don't necessarily bring it back very convincingly. And they've kind of been pushed into that type of situation here. Are they going to be strong enough mentally to bring this back?
So one thing I noticed during that round that I didn't notice when I was originally taking note of that defensive setup from Disrupt with the Clash is that it was a very tightly woven strategy. But if one part of it falls, the entire thing falls apart. And
falls.
yeah, that one part was Chameleonaire on the stairs behind Clash. As soon as he died, Clash was forced to back off. There was nothing to cover the windows. There was nothing to cover the stairs. We had to pull Castle all the way back through the second floor to rotate around to cover Clash's back and try to fight that bathroom hallway. And that meant that the other side of the map was basically completely open. There wasn't enough defensive manpower there to defend it. And so you saw this entire defense start pushing back all the way until they're all the way toward the east wall and the east stairs. And that basically let the attackers walk in and plant wherever they wanted. And that's exactly what happened. Even if it didn't seem like Disrupt knew the plant was going down, but even if they did, there was such a man advantage on the attacker's side that anyone who tried to peek around would probably have gotten their head taken off. So overall, I forgot who it was, but the kill onto Chameleonaire was sort of the first domino in a series of events that caused Victorious to win.
Yeah, that strat from DG I think is just a little bit too reliant on having everybody up, because there is no situation in Siege where you should be relying on having all 5 bodies on the board, because that's not going to happen every single time. So it's a little bit it kind of sucks there for DG, because on paper that strat looks like it's going to work, but the moment they lost the Clash the first time around, they were like, okay, maybe it's just because we lost the Clash. But then they lost the Jaeger the second time around, and they're like, okay, if we just lose anybody, this strat kind of falls apart. And Victoria's Secret definitely recognizes that, and that's why they are up 3-0, and they have secured the draw once this game goes into half, and could easily secure the round advantage if they get around here when they go into the half. But now going on to the kitchen defense, this is a defense we've seen quite a lot of teams today struggle with. It's been back and forth, attackers win, defenders win. There hasn't been really any convincingly just one-sided affair on this site. So it's going to be interesting to see what DG and what Victoria's Secret, once they get on defense, does differently than what Artemis and what Queen Yolo Mid did in the game prior.
The craziest thing right now is that despite the fact that there's a Thatcher band, and I misspoke the first time I said this, but this site is really strong for hard breach denial because you have the freezer. There's no hard breach denial on the side of Disrupt. They haven't put that in their lineup, despite the fact that there is no Thatcher. So this wall can just basically be open whenever they want for the attackers. And already we see a bit of a trade as Maddox takes out one, but Astraz... Ooh. big Claymore there as well as Chihui gets yet another one. That Sketchopotamus going down. So already the defense is in a pretty good spot despite the fact that they don't have any hard breach denial, but it doesn't seem like the attackers are really putting emphasis on hard breach in the first place.
Yeah, it's interesting because you have an opportunity to gain so much control as the attacking team. It doesn't look like Victoria's Secret is taking it as of yet. I'm expecting they're probably going to do it in the later points of this round, but I mean, talk about later points in this round. We only have 55 seconds left, and things are starting to get a little bit close here. As you also still have that Echo on the board, as well as, no, you don't have the C4 with the Mozzie, as Chihui was able to find one with it. But you have the Legion Mines and the Echo on the board, and that's going to definitely slow down a plant or an execution on the site. And the fact that, oh, well, finally, the attackers are able to open up that wall. It's just taken quite a bit of time. Rachel Boo was able to find one on the Chameleonaire. Is going to be getting riddled up as she tries to rotate back down the stairs. And now it's going to be a 3v3, and it's just going to be waiting and waiting for both of these players as Chihui just peeking up to her death, missing the first couple shots, and the first player rotating down those stairs. And it looks like the plant is going to be coming down, but that Echo is still in play. And just like that, that is why Echo is so very important. And now it's going to happen again. Echo has not been dealt with. It's going to probably release the Sonic Boom, but it does not matter. And just like that, Victoria's Secret, even when DG have time on their hands, they have utility on their hands, it just seems to all fall apart at the very end.
Yeah, and a lot of that, first of all, I would have wanted to see some hard breach denial, because even though Victorious didn't really put much emphasis on the freezer wall at the start of the round, opening it up during the second half opened up their attack. Yeah. They opened up angles, they got a pick through it, they basically just walked through freezer for free to get the plant down. There were so many things that basically required some sort of hard breach deny, and the fact that a Thatcher's not there, if you're going to the first floor, you basically need that hard breach denial, and they're not doing it again, even though, again, the counter to the hard breach denial has been taken out. And we saw Disrupt tried to pull some impact tricks, but why would you want to rely on impact tricks when you could just drop a bandit battery and forget about it? The only thing that could possibly do something about it is the Twitch drone, and that's a pretty hard one to work. So it's definitely a questionable decision for defense.
It's weird because we saw Victoria's Secret, they took a long time to open up that wall, and it wasn't even bandited. What would happen if DG placed 2 batteries down, and in a situation like we saw last round, 50 seconds were left, they finally opened up that wall. If 2 bandit batteries were down, not only would that waste a lot of time, but they could easily not even get that open, and their entire push that relied on that wall being open would have been snuffed out. The fact that DG is bringing the exact same lineup once again, and not necessarily bringing anything different. It doesn't look like they're doing their strat anything. There's not much, really, any changes. It's just questionable for me. It doesn't look like DG is adapting. We saw this with the upstairs site with the Clash as well. They did not adapt when they lost the first round. They did the exact same thing with the Clash. It didn't work, and they're doing the exact same thing again. They're saying that is, don't fix what's not broken. But the problem with DG right now is they are down 4-0, so there's definitely a couple things that are broken that they need to be getting fixed.
Absolutely, and we talked earlier, before the game even started, that Disrupt are a team that I feel like wouldn't lend itself well to a best-of-3 because they have sort of that swingy mindset where if they start losing a few games, it's hard for them to pull back, and we're sort of seeing that now, too. Just the mindset is probably not quite there, considering they just keep going back, or they just went to the same site once again. They didn't change anything up. Sketchopotamus will get the first kill onto Maddox, too, so that's 1 roamer off the board. And again, it doesn't look like there's any response from Disrupt.
Yeah, there's really just, I don't think anything's really going in favor right now of Disrupt, and if I am them, I just need to, I want to take a calculated risk, because there's not much more you can lose in this half. Yes, you could go into the half 6-0, but that's not what you want to happen. You want to leave this half 4-2. You got to take a risk here. You got to change something up. Even if the calculations are wrong in that risk, there's just, you can't really do much else. And I think right now DG are just stuck in this mindset of, hey, we know what we're doing, let's keep doing what we're doing and hope it works. And that's not going to work against a team like Victoria's Secret that is able to adapt as quickly as they have been. So we are 1 minute in, and this is kind of shaping up to be the exact same situation we saw last time around. The wall has been opened with about a minute left, and well, it looks like the execute is gonna be on the horizon. The only difference being, last time around it was a 5v5 when the Execute came out. This time around it is a 5v4, and that's still an advantage. Well, as I just say that, DG with Fry Queen goes absolutely massive, takes down the Buck and takes down the Twitch, and that could be just what DG needs to stay alive on this site, as time is ticking down and the Execute is going to have to come out here from Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, beautiful flank there, and Fry Queen gets yet another one. That's 3. Looking for an ace as there are only 2 members of the team left on the board. That one Brit will start the plant, and Jihui gets the headshot onto Lexi. This is looking like the first defensive round we've seen so far. That one Brit has 15 seconds left. The diffuser wasn't down. She had to pull off of it. The Echo Drone just kept slamming with shockwaves. Looks like she'll be able to find 1, but she needs to find 3 more. That's the second. She gets 2, forced to plant now, and that's got to be GG. There's a Echo Drone in place, and that is yet another round. Or sorry, that is the first round that Disrupt is going to be able to win on their defensive side. But
I think
again,
Disrupt,
it's only 1 round.
Yeah, I think Disrupt probably heard us saying, why are they doing the same thing? This is just not smart. And they were like, you know what? We're going to shut these casters up and do the same thing, and this time it's going to work. The thing that went differently here for DG, I think, was they were just winning their gunfights this time around. It was the exact same push. It was the exact same flank. It was the exact same roam. Everything was almost identical. Just the only difference was every 50-50 went in favor of DG. And that's why they won that round out.
Yep, Fry Queen on her flank managed to get kill after kill. It might have surprised the first person who was killed there, but the second person, at that point, it was a heads-up gunfight, and they just straight up lost it. So definitely props to Fry Queen. But on the other hand, Disrupt can't really rely on that. You know, they did, as you said, the same thing again and again, and the reason that they won this round was because of Fry Queen, but you never really want to put your victories put your strategies on the back of a single person. And especially when you're staring down a 4-1 half. And I know you mentioned this during our last series, but could you please reiterate what the win rate is for attackers and defenders on Cafe?
So right now DG is on the defending side of things, and this is a very defender-sided map, and they are down 4-1. So the exact numbers, the attackers win 42.89%, and the defenders win 57.11%. Extremely one-sided in favor of the defense. The only map that is more one-sided is Villa, and the fact that the defending team is not capitalizing on that advantage right now, and they are down by a significant amount, is alarming. If DG looks at that scoreline and they recognize their position in terms of attack and defense, there's probably some alarms flaring off in their head, as there should be.
Maddox challenging the Skylight, and she'll be able to take one down. That's Estrella going down with a headshot. That's the Zofia too, so pretty good amount of utility off the board. They won't have the impacts or the concussions. And that's a good start for Disrupt by all means, but we've seen Victorious come back from a weaker deficit too. I think there was a 3v5 at one point that Victorious won out, so we absolutely can't count them out yet, and especially Disrupt can't count them out. This is not the time to be complacent at all, but it seems like they are getting a pretty good lockdown on the map control. Victorious haven't really gotten much space at all. There's no one in Piano. They haven't dropped Hatch yet. I think it seems like one person dropped down the... yeah, here is Sketchopotamus dropped down the red stairs hatch. But that's about it. And Rachel Boo is actually going to be able to get a kill back in her favor. And so yeah, Victorious, never count them out.
Yeah, you're at the halfway point in this round, but the thing that's looking really good for DG is just how much map control they actually have, as just as I say that, it all falls apart, as Sketchopotamus and Lil Lexi are able to find 2, and it's going to be up to the Echo and the Jaeger now in a 4v2 situation, and there's still a lot of time to work with in terms of trying to get that plant down and trying to set up your execute on the attacking side of things. There is still an Echo in play though, and Echo is one of those operators that is just so powerful late in the round. The main job, okay, never mind, is just as I say that Echo goes down and it's going to be all up to the Jaeger. Has a really good gun and also a really good player, but a 4v1 situation is something you're probably not going to put your money on the Jaeger in. And just like that, Victoria's Secret going into the half 5-1 on an extremely defender-sided map. That's not what you want to see from Disrupt. But I do want to say something, which is we talk about map percentages and we talk about one-sided maps and things like that all the time. But in CCSW, there has been a trend where on a defender-sided map, the attackers are actually winning more. It's not a trend that basically shifts the entire map pool into an attacker favored situation, but it is a trend where in certain situations we have seen the attacking team just get more rounds. And DG, like we were talking about with Victoria's Secret, you never want to count Victoria's Secret out. You never want to count DG out, because they could completely flip this map and say, you know what, maybe this is an attacker sided map for us, and bring a couple rounds back here and force an overtime. Because one more round, and well, you're going to see Victoria's Secret on match point, and what DG have to be perfect from there on out.
Certainly possible for Disrupt to bring this round back, but it basically, this is the point where it needs to happen. If Disrupt don't win this round, they're going to lose the series, and that's not mathematically true, because you need 7 points to win the win the map. But again, Disrupt are a team that I haven't really seen been able to pull back after losing several rounds in a row, and that this sort of emphasizes it, being 5-1 so far. So if there's any time to reset your mentality, it's when the rounds switch sides. So this is the round we need to watch. If they don't win this round, I really don't think they're going to win the one after it. But they could also prove me wrong. Stranger things have happened, and we've been caster cursed pretty much all day today. So
yeah. It's
so we'll see what
it's
happens.
the red cube effect. It's the red cube effect. Every time I cast, it's just caster's curse, no matter what. Like, no matter what. But in the game of Siege, in life, change is inevitable except from like a vending machine. So I'm expecting DG is going to change quite a bit. They obviously are on attack. They're going to have to basically change their entire mindset. Instead of being on the defense and defending something, they're now on the attack, and they're going to have to be attacking something, and they're going to be trying to get that bomb down. This is the best chance they have, and this is the best opportunity they will have this entire game to flip this game on its head and completely turn the tables around. Are they going to do it? We don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. But the problems we're seeing from DG, they're relatively simple. Like I've said so many times before, people trip over molehills. They don't stumble over... People stumble over molehills. They don't stumble over mountains. And every problem so far from DG has been a molehill. It's been a small thing that they just keep doing over and over and over again that they just can't quite fix. So there's definitely opportunity for DG to find themselves back in this game.
There absolutely is. 1 minute down from the round so far, and the attackers have a little bit of space. They've taken some of the second floor, but overall no progress made on the top floor here, as we can see through Sketchopotamus's stolen drone there. But we might see a little bit of an engagement here as Jahui spots one out. Maddox actually takes Sketchopotamus out. That was toward the reading room. So getting some extra second floor control. Little Lexi is looking to see if she can refrag, but so far, not much able to happen. If they can take out Little Lexi, then they suddenly have to stop worrying about roamers, because that'll be the 2 roamers off the board, and their flanks will be pretty much completely open. They can focus everything on site and get a huge numbers advantage in that respect. Do they know that Little Lexi is still downstairs, though, is the question, because it doesn't look like anyone's trying to scout her out, and that's proof of it right there. No one knew that Little Lexi was there. She was just able to take out Maddox very cleanly.
That's really just unfortunate for DG. Lack of intel, and also just being a little bit too complacent in where exactly your team is, and then you walk right into the line of sight of a roamer downstairs. But it's going to be redeemed just a little bit as Jahui is able to find one onto the mute, who unfortunately had his toes sticking out of the bathroom and is going to have his bones now bleach under the sun. You have 3 operators left on defense. You have the Maestro, you have the Jaeger, and the Bandit. Jaeger and Bandit have 2 extremely good guns, and then we've talked about Maestro's gun all day today. He is one of the best operators in clutch situations, in situations where time is slowly running out, where you can make something happen. And right now, time is running out, and this is an opportunity for these defenders to make something happen, because the execute is going to be very quick, and it's going to be very explosive. And now that it's an even man count, this looks like it might go in favor of the defense. The plant is coming down. I don't think anybody recognizes it. Nope, somebody does. It's going to be that one Brit, and Victoria's Secret are able to win the round out. Even in a situation where DG had the man advantage almost the entire time, it's going to be time that puts them basically in their grave, as it's 6-1, match point for Victoria's Secret. This is hurting for DG.
Yeah, and during that last round, we had 15 seconds left or so, and you were saying, this execute, it's going to be quick, it's going to be fast. And I'm like, yeah, it's got to be quick, it's got to be fast. They're going to play right into the defender's hands.
Yep.
And then immediately afterward, I thought, wait, or there might just not be an execute, right? We saw
or they're just not going to push.
We saw Thermite walk in and start the plant, but there was literally nothing around that. It was basically
Yeah.
the Thermite walking in and planting and then getting killed through the desk, and the rest of her team survived. So the rest of the team didn't really even execute with her as well, so definitely not speaking well to Disrupt's chances at winning this map. But again, we keep talking about basically mentality resets. We'll have to see what happens during this round. I think this is the time where Disrupt basically should just say, have fun, go for it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, I
you
mean-
need some. I think you need to start looking toward the entire best of 3 instead of winning. You need to win 5 rounds in a row, and then win overtime on top of that. I think it's probably better to set your sights on the rest of the best of 3, and that's a situation where teams that don't have experience with best of 3s might not be looking toward.
Yeah, and it's one of those things we see in Pro League a lot. When a team is down by a significant amount, you'll actually see they just stop showing strats. They just stop showing anything. For the idea is, well, this is a best of 3. If we win the next 2 games and we say we play in Cafe again, we want to bring a completely different look. And that's probably, I think, the mindset DG needs to have right now, because this game is, you're basically grasping at straws and trying to bury an ocean if you want to try to get back into this game, because it's 6-1 on an extremely defender-sided map, and nothing has really been going in your favor on the side of DG. So this is kind of a situation where they probably should just maybe not show anything, maybe discuss what they want to do differently the next map, and then try to bring this one back in terms of the fact, hey, it's not a best of 1, this is a best of 3. What can we do differently coming around the bend and going into the next game, which the next game is going to be on the map of, I actually forgot, but back to this game, as it is 6-1, and this could easily be the closing round and forcing it on into a map 2 for Victoria's Secret, and they will have a, well, they actually are in a very comfortable position right now, because they could basically make 5 mistakes over and over and over again and still win this round out, whereas on the side of DG, if they just make 1 mistake, this map is over.
So when the Thatcher is banned, we see Mute get way stronger in relation, because one of Mute's biggest weaknesses is that he can't trick. He can't trick a reinforced wall. When there's no Thatcher, you don't really need to worry about that. You basically just need to defend it from Twitch drones, and his gadget disables drones. So if he places them correctly, there's a chance that a Twitch might not even be able to shoot it. So we're going to be seeing really effective use of this Mute, and the attackers are going to have a very hard time getting any sort of hard breach open. That's if they even get close to the hard breaches, but Victorious have been shutting down any form of entry that they could possibly have into the building, as 2 of them go down, 1 to a C4. And now we're down to a 5v3 on match point. Chameleonaire gets 1 back. That's a headshot with the FAMAS, but it's not going to be enough, however, as Estrella will manage to take 1 back into her favor. Fry Queen gets Sketchopotamus, and now we're down to a 2v3, so things looking a little bit better for the side of DG, but it's still on the back foot, as there's only 40 seconds left for this execute.
Yeah, you also have the Nomad, who has been, well, I was going to say brought down to low health, but also entirely brought down. So now it's going to just be a Twitch in a 1v3 situation with 25 seconds left. Twitch does have the diffuser, so you have to start somewhere, and that's a good place to start. You have the diffuser. You'll also be able to get 1 kill, could potentially find 2. That's actually going to be a down on the pulse. So this is effectively a 1v1. This is now somewhat in the hands of the attacker, because the Nomad did just go off. You're going to force that Jaeger back into a rotate, and it was a 1v3 situation, and Chameleonaire goes absolutely huge. But it's a little bit bittersweet, because this game is still very, very far away for DG.
Yeah, and again, I mentioned this before, but the 2 rounds that Disrupt Gaming have won so far, one of them has been off of the back of Fry Queen, with a big flank getting 3 kills in a single round. This one is on the back of Chameleonaire getting headshot all the way through from bakery to kitchen, and then cleaning up 2 kills afterward. You can't rely on those individual plays, which is really unfortunate for the side of Disrupt, but the fact that they were able to win that round is a good start. It helps them refresh their mentality a little bit, and yeah, we'll see what the rest of the team basically thinks of that. They could potentially find that round win, find that immense solo play as a thing to draw strength from, and basically get the rest of the game together. or they could basically look at it as another isolated event like they did for Fry Queen, where their mentality doesn't quite shape up because of that win, because it was just one person going off, basically.
Yeah, and it looks like we're having just some connection issues on the side of DG, and that's just kind of been plaguing them this entire game. The fact that Fry Queen has been in and out of this game, it just hurts the entire play style and the entire mentality of DG, because we've seen a lot of the time most of these strats rely on everybody being up, or they rely on one operator staying alive for an extremely long time. And if Fry Queen is that operator that the strat relies on, it's just unfortunate that she's the one that keeps getting disconnected. But coming back into a game like this and trying to bring this 6-2 scoreline to a 6-6 scoreline, it's a very, very high price. But only DG has the power to pay it. And if Victoria's Secret maybe let their foot off the gas just a bit too much, we could see DG get round by round, slowly but surely, and get into this game. Was it a good start that Fry Queen got disconnected? Not at all. But they just kind of have to deal with that at this point.
And we're seeing the attackers put quite a bit of emphasis on the third floor, which is pretty standard for Cafe. Basically, toward any site except for Kitchen, we often see teams take the third floor control first because there's so much vertical play on this map. There's so much destructible floor between the second and third floors that you basically just don't want any defenders to be up here. Maddox just barely unable to get the frag on someone who is rotating out of Piano, but on the bright side, that does leave Piano completely wide open to the attackers for them to basically wreak havoc on anyone downstairs. Now, Little Lexi and Astraea are still up here, so they can potentially challenge anyone who gets too comfortable with their lead and doesn't watch their backs.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ACOGs on the side of the defense here. You have the Maestro and you also have the Doc, and both of which are upstairs with extremely long angles. If DG is just is not careful enough and maybe too aggressive, one of them could easily walk right into the line of sight of one of these extremely powerful guns, and that's going to be a body off the board very quickly. And you only have a minute left here from the attack, and they haven't even gotten control of upstairs. They haven't gotten control of any of the assets you want in order to make an effective push on the site, but it looks like they're going to be going for a smoke drop. Sketchapotamus is actually able to light up the planter, which is the Jackal, and if Jackal does fall down, this could be easily a round win for Victoria's Secret, but unfortunately the Jackal doesn't fall down for them, and it's going to be a retake situation in a 4v4. 8 bodies are still on the board, and the diffuser somehow got down. This is going to end in blood and tears for either of these teams.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Victorious basically let this plant happen. There was no big rotation from the side of their team, but we have kills going back and forth. Rachel Boo and Sketchapotamus taking them down. Meanwhile, Chameleonaire evens it up 1-2, and now Jihui actually takes out Rachel Boo as well, so the attackers Disrupt are finding their footing. They're actually getting round after round. This is their second one in a row. They are a very momentum-based team, like I mentioned before. When things are down, it's hard for them to get back up, but when things are up, they do start looking pretty good, so we might even be able to see a turnaround, however slim chance that might be. But I think part of the onus is on Victoria's Secret, because again, that round, they honestly just shouldn't have let the plant go down. There were 4 members of their team left alive, 2 of them were upstairs, and we just didn't see a big rotation. We saw a smoke plant down right through, I think it was Sketchapotamus's eyes. We looked at her camera and saw the plant go down, so I don't know if it wasn't called out. I don't know if the Maestro and the Doc upstairs didn't feel comfortable rotating down, but something's definitely got to change, because that was a pretty big misplay.
Yeah, there's very little chances in Siege, or opportunities in Siege, or situations in Siege where the plant comes down and there's more than 3 or 2 members of the defenders still up. The fact that 4 people were still alive, and also 8 people in total were still alive, that is an extremely quick planting situation. Most of the time, you'll see the plant either late in the round, or it will be like a rush strat, and many people will die, and then the plant comes down. The fact that it wasn't a rush strat, it was a typical hold, it was a typical take, but the plant still came down with 8 bodies on the board. That's just questionable from it's more questionable from the defense, but it's just questionable from both teams, because that's just something you don't really expect to see. We are moving into a situation now, though, where Victoria's Secret, they might have been getting complacent in their spot. They were up 6-1, and they were probably letting their foot off the gas and not necessarily wanting to show anything because they were taking rounds fairly convincingly. But DG is now, like we've said, they're a momentum-based team, and that goes both ways. So they're starting to win here, and they're starting to win big. We need to maybe see Victoria's Secret put their foot right back on that gas pedal because they do not want to let DG back into this game.
Yeah, complacency is an enemy to many, many teams who have been ahead in the past and will be in the future. But as almost 40 seconds are off the clock, we don't expect too much map control this early in the round. But overall, teams are sort of feeling each other out, and we'll see where Disrupt decide to focus their attack. We're on the Bard defense, of course, so most of Victoria's Secret are going to be up here defending as well. I think there's two people downstairs, and it's going to be Lil Lexi and Sketchopotamus. So those two have been pretty strong roamers so far in this map. So I expect them to pull off some pretty big flanks. We might see one of them head up through the red stairs if the attackers get a little bit complacent in basically watching that angle. Otherwise, this execute looks like it might go pretty cleanly so far.
Yeah, we see already one Echo drone being used to just shock the attackers pushing into Piano. I don't exactly know what the point of that is. You don't want to lose an Echo drone that early on, and I think she actually did lose that Echo drone. So the Echo is now down to only one drone, and you still have 1 minute and 30 left. So a little bit of a misplay there from the Echo. I don't 100% understand what the point of that was. Maybe the Echo drone was spotted out and she just wanted to get rid of one of the sonic booms just to get rid of it, but we will never know. We are now sitting in a spot where we saw Jihui once before. She was able to find one kill onto the mute playing into the bathroom simply because the mute was just a little bit too comfortable with where his toes were being placed, and Jihui was able to find at least one of them and put him down. But it looks like that's not going to repeat itself as Lil Lexi is able to find the first kill. It's going to be on Maddox, but it's going to be immediately traded as Fry Queen's able to find one, but Lil Lexi is able to find two, and the man advantage is back in favor of the defense. You only have 40 seconds left, and Echo Drone is still on the board. This is going to be very, very hard for the attacking team.
Yeah, the attackers got map control pretty quickly. They got control over Piano without too much contesting, but their execute has not been working so far. Jihui takes one out, so that'll take things back in their favor a little bit, but Rachel Boo is actually ready to flick right around this corner and potentially get one, maybe two. She's playing the patient game, waiting for potentially a plant to start going down, and there it is. She'll hear it. Is that going to be enough to force her around the corner? No, it looks like she's just playing the patient game, and that might actually be the smart choice in this situation. That one Brit peeks around the corner, not able to get anything yet, but Chameleonaire is not going to be able to stop the defuse from being stopped, and that means Victoria's Secret are going to be taking the first map after a little bit of a shaky finish. They still managed to put their foot down, like Red Cube said, and bring it back in their favor.
Yeah, the game, it ended 7-3, so you look at the scoreline and you're going to say, okay, that was fairly one-sided in favor of Victoria's Secret, but the game started getting a little bit close at the end there. We saw Victoria's Secret were starting to slip up a little bit, and DG were starting to gain some traction, but unfortunately, I think it was a little bit too little too late for DG, and they weren't able to bring it back in the end, but someone we are going to be able to bring back is Brimstone.
Hey, so I crawled out of my hole just to talk about DG's hole that they dug for themselves, I think, there. So that, as you're saying, that momentum, I mean, they did seem to get it a bit at the end there, but it was the definition of too little too late, I think. They're going to need a lot more of an effort team-wise, a lot more synergy throughout the team if they want any hope, I feel, moving forward. To have any hope of taking this back. To be perfectly honest, if that effort comes again, and I know I'm being kind of harsh here, but kind of sitting back on the sidelines, being a backseat driver, I don't even know if that effort would be good enough for, you know, that third place match tomorrow. I think they need to wipe that from their minds, go into the next match, and really get themselves going again. They will be playing on Consulate, so this is a map that, correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't seen it too much on NA's side at all, have we?
So we've seen Consulate twice on NA, and both of which has been actually it's been once or twice from NA. But the one thing I do know is that Disrupt was the team to play on it. So this is a map that is familiar with Disrupt, and coming out of that last game, there are some positives to take away from that last game, but hindsight is 2020, and you learn more from your mistakes than you do your winnings. So there was a lot of mistakes from DG, but if they look back at those mistakes and they address them and they figure out, okay, what went wrong, what can we do to fix them, they're going to be a lot better of a team, and they're going to look very, very good on their map pick of Consulate. Reminder, Victoria's Secret's map pick was Cafe, so it's kind of expected that they win that. It's just kind of how you expect it to go. This is now Disrupt's map pick. And now that they're moving on to Consulate, now it's kind of, I think, a map that fits their playstyle maybe just a bit more, and they've analyzed their mistakes, and if they do everything properly, they could easily send this to a map 3.
Now, Azaraki, is it just as important for DG to go into their map pick and win as decisively? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think squeaking out a win on their own map is going to do them any favors going into that third map. Do you think they're going to have to come in with a bang and take the next map decisively?
I think they will. I definitely agree with you there. And even though it's their map, I think sort of especially if it's their map, they want to put on a good showing from it, because if it's a really close one, then all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, well, that first map we lost pretty decisively, and the second map we sort of clawed back, and this last map, it's not our pick. What are we going to do? There are a lot of things that could potentially run through their minds. That a team like Disrupt, it might end up getting in their heads. And I do want to just point out one more thing. I was actually looking through it, and Victorious actually played Consulate versus Artemis. Now, they lost that map.
Ooh, interesting.
They lost that map, but it was a 7-8. So they took it the distance against Artemis on Consulate. So Victoria's Secret have performed pretty well on this map, honestly.
Yeah, Victoria's Secret is the only team that took Artemis to overtime. We can look at that Slaughterhouse game and say, well, Slaughterhouse beat Artemis, but I think we kind of have to put a star around that and circle it a bit, because it was kind of one of those games that didn't necessarily mean much for either of the teams, and people were kind of just running around having a good time. So in a game that mattered, Victoria's Secret did send Artemis to an overtime situation on the map of Consulate. So even this being Disrupt's pick, you're looking at Victoria's Secret and you probably think, hey, they've got to be comfortable. They've got to have something if they were able to take Artemis the distance.
Well, we'll have to find out soon enough, but not before we go to a quick 5-minute break. Grab some snacks, head to the washroom, whatever you need to do. We'll see everyone in just a few minutes.
Working fairly well. Half the round has gone away, and not too many advances from the time is slowly ticking away for Victoria's Secret.
So we're finally seeing the attackers move down to Stro, playing the third floor. So now we're just seeing Chameleonaire see what she can do as sort of the anchor on the site, but let's see how these two others can rotate down. Dope Girls gets killed right off the bat as soon as she drops, and now just Jihui on the Mozzie. The sub doesn't have the information on where the attackers are. She sees the Claymore, takes it out, but that just tips off one Brit to where she is.
Technical issues that resulted in this, but Rachel Boo was able to find one kill, and just like that, it's all falling apart for DG. Boo was able to find the first kill. That's going to be on the supporting player for that clash. It's going to be Chameleonaire down and the Jaeger down up the white stairs, looking to support the clash, and this is a nice position for Maddox to be, but it could easily be snuffed out from the attack. Know if it's the most positive closure if you're on the side of DG, because this is not looking good whatsoever for them. And just
already we see a bit of a trade as Maddox takes out one, but Astraz, ooh, big Claymore there
down the stairs, and now it's going to be a 3v3, and it's just going to be waiting and waiting for both of these players as Jihui just peeking up to a very important, and now it's going to happen again. Echo has not been dealt with. It's going to probably release the Sonic Boom.
Considering they just keep going back, or they just went to the same site once again. They didn't change anything up. Sketchupod will start the plant, and ooh, Jihui gets the headshot onto Lexi. This is looking like the first kept slamming with shockwaves. Looks like she'll be able to find one, but she needs to find 3 more. That's the second plant now, and that's got to be GG. There's a Echo drone in place, and that
in defense, there's probably some alarms flaring off in their head, as there should be.
Maddox challenging the skylight, and
Yeah, you're at the halfway point in this round, but the thing that's looking really good for DG is just how much map control they actually have. Just as I say, there's still an Echo in play though, and Echo is one of those operators that is just so powerful late in the round. The main job, okay, never mind. As I say, that Echo goes down and it's gonna be all up to the Jaeger. Has a really good gun and also a really good player, but
do they know that little Lexi is still downstairs though is the question, because it doesn't look like anyone's trying to scout her out, and
that's really just unfortunate for DG. Lack of intel and also just being a little bit too complacent in where exactly your team is, and then you walk.
If he places them correctly, there's a chance that a Twitch might not even be able to shoot at the building, as 2 of them go down, 1 to a C4. And now we're down to a 5v3 on match point. Chameleonaire gets 1 back. That's a headshot. 40 seconds left for this execute.
Yeah, you also have the Nomad, who has been somewhat in the hands of the attacker, because the Nomad did just go off. You're going to force that Jaeger back into a rotate.
Going back and forth, Rachel Boo and Sketchopotamus taking them down. Meanwhile, Chameleonaire evens it up 1-2, and now Jihui actually...
Little Lexi is able to find the first kill. It's going to be on Maddox, but it's going to be immediately traded as Fry Queen's able to find 1, but Little Lexi is able...
Corner, not able to get anything yet, but Chameleonaire is not going to be able to stop the defuse from being...
Welcome back to the stream, everybody. This is CCSW. We are going into map number 2 of match number 2 today. It's Victoria's Secret taking on Disrupt Gaming. They will be going to Consulate here, which is Disrupt's map. I'm Brimstone, and I've got Henry, Red Cube, Danish here to my right, my left, your right, I don't know. And then Matt Azaraki Waters. I swear, no matter how many times I do this, I will never, ever get it right. I've got this right. I just don't know if that's right.
Yeah, you got
left.
the side. You got the side proper, but it's just like the up and down is it gets confusing.
You can see over here underneath me. I've got. No, but we do have a fantastic match coming up here. As we said, it's Consulate. This, me personally, is one of my favorite maps to watch because it's so tight. It's one of the smallest maps. It's close quarters. There is so much that can go on in this map, and every bomb site has 2 to 3 different ways of like taking the point. So it's going to be really interesting to watch. What is going to be the advantage for DG, do you think, Azaraki, of picking this map? What's going to work for them here?
I think one of the things that Disrupt have to focus on is basically just denying Victorious space. I think the Consulate, it's a small map for sure, but it's not Oregon where it's not played out to the point where there are hardly any tricks or anything like that left. I think Disrupt can potentially catch Victorious off guard if they were to play in sneaky locations or anything like that, but for the most part, I want to see them try to pull off things that are pretty substandard. And I think that's going to be the avenue that gets them the wins.
Yeah, I think Consulate is one of those maps that allow individual players to be extremely explosive. And I think that's something we need to see from Maddox here. She wasn't as explosive as we kind of used to seeing when we were playing on Cafe. We've kind of expected that she would be 100% always there, an ace after an ace kind of thing. And I feel like we've been kind of numbed by it a little bit, and that's unfortunate. But going into a game on Consulate, that type of play style, being aggressive, being strong, and just getting kills is something that can really, really help Disrupt here.
And as we head into the ban phase, we can check out what these teams decide to ban. On Consulate, you can expect, for the most part, pretty standard bans. Thermite tells me that Basement's going to be very popular, the garage site, because that is where Thermite shines, absolutely. If you're going to try to attack the upstairs, the CEO, or sorry, the consul's office site, then you usually want a Hibana instead, because that allows you to take down the reinforced wall behind Long Desk into Projector without walking up to it. And that's, at this point, everyone knows that the strength that Hibana brings over Thermite is the fact that she doesn't have to walk right up to a wall in everybody's line of sight in order to take it down.
So we're seeing a Thermite ban, which I really like on this map, but the Twitch ban, I'm a little bit confused on. I think Twitch getting rid of that F2 is really nice because Twitch's gun is just really, really good, and it's also can sometimes be a crutch for certain players. But I don't 100% know if that's a target ban or if there's something behind that ban. I'm never a fan of target bans, in my opinion, because if a player is extremely good, I understand. Like 100% lights out every single time with a certain operator, then ban that operator. But I don't think there's anybody in the Siege scene, not even Joystick, not Dan from Empire. There's nobody in the scene, in my opinion, that deserves a 100% target ban. And if that Twitch was a target ban, I'm not really kind with it, I guess is the best way to put it. But we are going to be seeing Legion and Echo off the board. That's a little bit more typical. Thermite, I really like that ban on this map. But we're just going to have to wait and see, because I could easily be just making assumptions and that wasn't a target ban, but actually was just maybe ties into a strat that we're just going to have to kind of wait for. But only time can tell me that.
The main thing that I really think Twitch comes into play for is here in this downstairs site. But that's in terms of her gadget. I think this is a case of a target ban, and I'm a little bit more for it than you are in this case, because I believe it was Victoria's Secret's ban, and if it's not, then everything I'm thinking is thrown out the window. But
I think it was DG's
I can't quite
ban,
remember.
if I'm not mistaken.
Was it?
Yeah,
okay, so my thought was that Victorious was banning that out because it's a very individual play sort of thing, and we've seen the rounds that Disrupt have won have been on the back of like Chameleonaire going off, Fry Queen going off with these operators with really good guns. So maybe they were trying to cut out that avenue and further reduce the amount of ways that Disrupt could potentially get momentum. But if it is Disrupt's ban, then I have no idea.
I think it was Disrupt's ban simply because when the ban happened, I think it was Estrella in chat went nice ... So I think just that reaction tells me it was DG's ban and maybe it was a target ban for Estrella. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. On the basement defense though, the utility of Twitch is very viable, as you can kind of just scoot your drone into the drone hole right next to the wall and get rid of the bandit charges, maybe a Kai charge or whatever is on that wall. But again, it's just I'm not a big fan of target bans. I think there's a lot more operators on the board that I'd rather ban out, especially on attack. You could get rid of a Jackal, you could get rid of a Lion, and we haven't seen a Lion like played at all in CCSW, but getting rid of a Jackal would have been, I think, a little bit better. But again, we are just going to have to wait and see. I'm just a caster. I just talk over the game. I don't exactly know what's going through the mindset and the kind of the ideas going through the player's head. So I could be completely wrong and basically put into a spot where everything I have just said makes absolutely no sense. So we're just going to have to wait. But with 1:30 seconds left in the round, well, about 1:30 seconds left in the round, you're reaching that halfway point. Not much has happened in terms of map control. you still have quite a bit of people. You have, I think, one person. Yes, it is the Mozzie upstairs. And just as I say that, she is going to be riddled down from the Buck, but it's going to be immediately traded. No, my fault. It's actually going to be capitalized on a bit more as Jehui's able to find one under Rachel Boo, and that's going to be your Mozzie and the Jaeger off the board. And I was talking about a lack of map control and a lack of getting those roamers off of their kind of comfortable spots. And just as I say that, they are able to pick both of them off. And map control has definitely been given right to the attackers. And the only thing left now for the defenders is that basement site as well as bathroom here.
I like that Disrupt, when they saw that Thermite ban and when they saw the fact that it was downstairs, they didn't even try to futz with this wall over here into Garage. A lot of teams would basically fall into the trap of, oh, we do need to get this wall open right away. But as we can see, Disrupt aren't putting a lot of emphasis on it. They were focusing more on the roamers instead, and I think that's a really good start. And now that allows them to get so much map control. We saw the Buck all the way from upstairs, basically shooting through 2 sets of floors to make sure no one could possibly trick the wall or anything like that. And that's the sort of map control that it allows you to take. So I'm glad that Disrupt didn't fall into this trap of, we don't have a Thermite, but we still need to just brute force everything at this wall. But Jehui, how did she get back here? And she's going to take out 2 immediately, and that one Brit doesn't even turn around to realize it. Now Sketchopotamus is the last one left into bathroom, but that's not going to be enough as Disrupt just take a clean round in their favor, and Victorious just wasn't expecting any of it, pretty much.
Yeah, that was a major lack of communication from Victoria's Secret, because we saw Jehui just walk right into the site and no callouts were being made. The Maestro did not even react to someone right behind her, and that's just a huge misplay from the side of Victoria's Secret. The one thing I'm kind of questioning a bit, yes, it was a flawless round for
now
DG,
Sketchopotamus is the last one left into
a great
bathroom,
start,
but that's not.
But they opened up the left side of that garage wall. Most of the time you want to open up the right side, especially with Habana. You have maybe just one sight line, like one pellet goes on the left side and then 2 go on the right side, because you can then walk into the garage behind the van and have the safety of the van when you want to plant or if you want to kind of push into site. So I'm a little bit confused on why they opened up the left side, but obviously the site has changed, so we probably won't see that again unless they go back down to that site and do the exact same attack. But something that is really good for Disrupt is the fact they were struggling that last map, and I think they were starting to get their traction at the later half of the round, and it just was too little too late. But the fact that they were able to win one out early on, and it was a flawless round, this is a really good start for them, because they have now gained that traction. They are a momentum-based team, and if they can then continue this momentum, you could easily see this 100% one-sided in their favor.
Yeah, and that would be a very good change for them from last round, where last round, they didn't really get much of a footing until the latter stages of the round, or latter stages of the map, and even then it was off the back of just, again, 1 or 2 people popping off. This last round, it wasn't necessarily like Chameleonaire getting 3 kills. It wasn't necessarily Fryqueen getting 3 kills. It was the entire team and Jehui pushing in toward the end. A lot of it was definitely on her, but up until that point, they've gotten so much ground that if Jehui didn't do it, then maybe someone else would have as well. So it's definitely speaks a lot better to their teamwork, and Rachel Boo is playing crazy aggressive here in admin. That's not what you want to see, and actually another run out as well. Little Lexi gets taken down by Fryqueen. This is Victoria's Secret just sort of got dismantled at the beginning there. Estrella will finally take 1 back into her favor. Fryqueen will get a 3rd for herself as well. This is crazy. Victoria's Secret have basically just thrown their bodies at Disrupt, and they just haven't been landing anything.
Yeah, DG hasn't even gotten into the building, but they are up 4-1, and they finally do get into the building. That's going to be Dope Girl, the only person in the building. And this is just not the Victoria's Secret we're used to seeing. Most of the time they're a little bit more methodical, they're a little bit more patient, but they are just throwing their bodies in every single line of sight, and it's not working. They're not winning their 50s. I wouldn't even call them 50s. They're like 75% in favor of the attacking team, but the defense is still running into those lines of sight. This is not looking good whatsoever for Victoria's Secret in terms of even their playstyle. There's also the situation that one Brit is in. It's a 1v3. The plant is down. It's a retake, and basically every angle imaginable is trained onto the Maestro's head. This is probably not going to go Victoria's Secret's way.
Yeah, as long as Disrupt sit back and hold their angles, this is going to be a very easy win for them. Especially after that air jab. They'll know she's trying to rotate. and Chameleonaire will pick that one off. So overall, Ridcube already said it, but Victorious are looking very strange that round.
Yeah.
First of all, Jaeger should not be
didn't do
playing
it.
that close to the admin windows, because as we saw right there, even if you do peek through and manage to get someone on the rappel, there is the other wall with a window that a repeller can take you down from. Like, there are so many places the
It's
attackers
so easy
can
to get
shoot you
crossfired.
from.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you
so
just
easy
get
to get
fully
crossfired.
crossfired. And beyond that, after that death happened, everyone else on Victorious decided to start peeking admin, even though Disrupt already got full control over it. It was just a lot of strange decisions on the side of Victorious that I definitely didn't expect to see them make.
Yeah, DG didn't even need to make an effective push for them to win that round. 4 of the kills for Victorious, my fault. 4 of the kills for DG was when they were just repelling outside of the building or capitalizing on a run up. Nobody was in the building except the Habana when it was a 4v1 situation. And that just kind of shows Victoria's Secret is not playing their game. Most of the time on defense, you kind of want to let the other team make their own mistakes, and you don't necessarily want to be the aggressor. In certain situations, especially on Consulate, you can definitely be the aggressor as the defending team. But you're looking at the way Victoria's Secret is playing and the way they've played throughout the season. It's just that last round and the things we've seen before from them, they just do not align whatsoever. That's not something you've seen from Victoria's Secret before. Most of the time, they're patient, they're methodical, and they let the other team make the mistakes. That's exactly what they did on Cafe, and it worked wonders. But now they're the team kind of pushing the tempo, trying to get into the face of DG, trying to get into their heads, and it's 100% not working.
And the other thing I want to point out too is that even if you do decide to go with aggression, it's got to be either calculated aggression or coordinated aggression, and we didn't see either of that from Victoria's Secret. You know, there was no one to back up and back up the Jaeger and cover the other window. There was no one to pick up any refrags on any member of their team, and it wasn't calculated aggression either, because people were putting themselves in a position where their backs weren't covered by a teammate, or weren't covered by some piece of cover or wall or anything like that. So again, we can harp on this as much as we want, but let's turn our sights toward this next round for now, as 1 minute has gone off the clock, and already we have some repel control for the side of Disrupt. They're looking in various different portions of the map, but it seems like this time they might be looking more toward the projector side than the admin side. It's hard to tell where the bulk of their forces are so far, but Rachel's actually going to take down Maddox. So a little bit better play up here in the second floor this time around.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that the same disconnection problems that plagued DG are, well, continuing on the map of Consulate, because we just saw Dope Girl at the very beginning there was getting disconnected, and it resulted in the man advantage being quickly gifted to Victoria's Secret, and well, now it's even more in favor of Victoria's Secret. It is a 4v2 situation. You have a Jackal who has a really good gun. You still also have 2 smokes and 2 Inox model kind of tracks in the back pocket of the Jackal, so there's still a lot you could do in this type of situation, but the problem is there's 2 ACOGs on the board. You have a really good gun with the 416, and you also have a smoke. So much utility. There's so much on the side of the defense that is favorable for them that this push with 2 people is going to be very, very hard. The only thing that I expect would potentially work is Jackal rotates over to the south side, smokes off the doorway, and then they just go for a plant. But the problem is with that is there's still a smoke on the board, so it's going to be counter smoke on top of counter smoke, and you probably won't be able to get that plant down. Lilexi is able to find one that's going to be on the Jackal, so say goodbye to those smokes and say goodbye to that strategy, and now it's just going to be a game of winning your gunfights. And in a 4v1 situation, well, the defense has 4 chances to win theirs, and well, Chameleonaire only has 1, and unfortunately doesn't make it count, as Victoria's Secret take their first round on the map of Consulate.
Yeah, their first round indeed, and yeah, right after you've won 2 rounds in a row, that's a really bad time for a disconnect, honestly, because Disrupt, you know, they were starting to feel the momentum. We talk all the time about them being a pretty momentum-based team. At this point, it basically comes down to that's something that's out of their control. So it's absolutely easier for them to put it out of their minds than it is if there was a team kill or some big strategy flaw. So it definitely has a chance of affecting them less than other problems would, so we'll see if they can pull it back this round. On the other hand, I don't really think that their defense or their attack really fell apart because there was no, because Dope Girl wasn't there. I think for the most part, they still didn't end up playing their angles as properly as they should have. And of course, Victorious actually played back this time. They didn't try to peek all the way at the very front of admin or try to do crazy runouts onto balcony or anything like that. So I think both of those combined mean that even if Dope Girl was there, it still would have been a really close round, if not going into Victoria's Secret's favor.
Yeah, and we are going to be seeing Victoria's Secret go back down to, in my opinion, the most reliable site, which is going to be that basement. Some people are going to argue that the upstairs is a bit more reliable, but I think with just Consulate being in the pool since the start of time with Siege, I think basement has just kind of turned into the most comfortable and the most familiar for most teams, and that is exactly why I think DG is opting to go back down. Not my fault, not DG. Victoria's Secret is opting to go back down there because it allows them to tie this game up. If they tie this game up, that is going to do numbers to DG's momentum. We've talked about it all day today, and you literally just talked about it, which is the fact DG being a momentum-based team, it can really help them or it can really hurt them. If DG get in a roll and they start winning their rounds and they start looking really good, they're almost impossible to stop. But that track runs both ways. If they start losing their rounds and this game starts getting tied up and they maybe start losing things here and there and things start dropping, they might not be able to pick it back up from there. So we're just going to have to wait and see, because if Victoria's Secret win this out and maybe tie it up or even kind of take this half in their favor, DG could be out of the running.
This is also serves as a good test for Victoria's Secret too, because last round they didn't really get a chance to show off what sort of adaptations they could make, because when you're one man ahead, it's a lot easier to basically force the executes, get the angles into your favor. And Fry Queen actually takes out the first kill. That's Little Lexi's head going off, and it's already a good start for Disrupt Gaming, and they're getting a decent amount of control over Piano as well, so they're not going to be able to so Victorious aren't going to be able to block the garage for very much longer. So overall, I think Victorious, they definitely have a chance to show what they've learned over the past few losses that they had, and whether or not they're actually going to be able to bring it back in their favor, because, you know, we saw them throw their bodies at the wall and play with pretty much complete discoordination. Last round, they didn't get to show what they've done. This round, we might actually see them start playing a lot more sensible, and it seems like they're already doing that, because they're letting the attackers come to them. They're letting the attackers be the ones that make the mistakes, and Sketchopotamus is here waiting for something to happen on a very very hidden flank, I would say.
Yeah, you have about 40 seconds left, and piano control has been technically given to the attackers, but Sketchopotamus sitting in that bathroom could definitely be a problem on that late flank. But it's going to be Maddox is able to find one. Rachel Boo, though, from behind is able to take down Jahui, and that's where you need that intel. Losing Jahui in that situation is definitely going to hurt, because you're not going to have that presence of pushing from behind again, and you just need to have that intel if you're Jahui, knowing that you should not probably push into that. But Maddox talking about pushing into that. She's just going to walk right into sight, and nobody's even going to see her. It's going to be a 3v1 situation, all up to Rachel Boo, who's now on the backside. Jaeger being the last alive with that 416 carbine could definitely do numbers and do something with it, but it's going to be very hard. It's a 3v1, and it doesn't even matter as Disrupt, even with the disconnects, even them being down a map and their mindset being somewhat shaky, they are able to bring a round back.
Yeah, this shows us that the disconnect didn't really affect them that much, which is exactly what you want to see from any team. Because, again, it's something that's completely out of your control. There's no reason to feel down about it. There's no reason to harp on it, because there's absolutely nothing productive that can come out of it. If someone makes a mistake, you can be like, all right, let's learn from that in the future. We don't need to get mad about that. But yeah, I think that definitely speaks well for Disrupt Gaming. And they were able to take that round back in their favor. Meanwhile, Victoria's Secret, their rotations were, again, really slow. The site was starting to be taken. Maestro was fighting over the garage. He was most likely calling out, hey, they're doing their execute and now they're pushing through garage. And the rest of Victoria's Secret weren't really prepared to back her up, capitalize on it, or watch her back or anything like that. So sort of similar to the first round that we saw, where Victorious got taken out by people on the attack sort of just walking wherever they please. The same thing happened there, and Victorious are the ones looking shaky now.
Yeah, was a different. It was the same thing that happened in terms of somebody just walking in the site and not necessarily, no, actually, literally nobody knowing on the side of the defense where that person was or where that person came from. But it was just a different location this time. Jehui, the first time around, came from the backside and just waddled into the backside of the site and was able to find 3 kills. That was then addressed by Victoria's Secret by placing a Jaeger on that backside, was able to take down Jehui, and I think they got a little bit too comfortable and were like, all right, that was the flank, and now we can just focus on what's in front of us. But as that was happening, Matic somehow snuck in behind the white van and was just walking into the site. It's just this game of almost cat and mouse, where Disrupt is this mouse that Victoria's Secret cannot find, and every single time it punishes them, especially on a site like that downstairs site. Something, though, to note about the push from DG is the fact Maddox taking control of Piano and trying to deny the bandit trick. She does that from the 3rd floor. That's very smart in terms of just keeping your life, because taking Piano can result in basically death if the roamer is playing it properly. But the one issue with that is the fact that if Maddox stays upstairs, it allows the defenders on that 1st floor to rotate back downstairs fairly freely. So far, that hasn't been capitalized on from Victoria's Secret, but if they decide to go back downstairs to that site, that's something you gotta look at if you're Disrupt, because you don't know what could happen if maybe somebody hiding in that bathroom late in the round comes right behind you and completely stifles your attack.
So far, a minute's been taken off the clock, and the attackers have gotten a little bit of map control, but overall, no fights on either side quite yet. We'll see what the attackers decide to do and where they decide to focus their efforts. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of emphasis on Garage quite yet. They're mostly waiting for the Buck all the way up in the console's office to basically break those 2 layers of floors like he did the last couple times and take out those bandit batteries as well as mute charges. And at that point, there will be nothing left to stop any potential X-Kairos pelts from coming down. We do see a little bit of a challenge as Estrella tries to shoot up through these bars, but that's a very tough one when you're 2 floors up. So the Buck is definitely going to have the advantage when it comes to that play. This time, Jehui is actually being a little bit more careful when she tries to push in the back for a flank. She sees one, had the air jab out, however, so just fires an air jab instead of bullets at Rachel Boo, so unfortunately not going to be able to do much there. And on top of that, Rachel Boo is going to be able to get a frag on Fry Queen while she rotates out.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing Rachel Boo just looming and waiting to see the person in Piano, but it's just a game of Ring Around the Rosie, and Maddox unfortunately loses that one out. And it's going to be a 5 versus 3 advantage in favor of Victoria's Secret. You still have a decent amount of utility on the side of Disrupt, but it's slowly falling apart, as now it's just up to the Thatcher and the Habana, and they've already done their job, but Chameleonaire is trying to bring this round a little bit closer to fruition. She's able to take down Lil Lexi, making it a 4v2, so it's getting somewhat close. She could easily find another one, and she does, so it's making it 2v3. Chameleonaire has been in this position before, and she's done wonders and has clutched up before. Can she do it again, though? It looks like she just might. Chameleonaire is able to find 3, making it a 2v2, but the shots from above are going to punish her, making it now a 1v2 in favor of the defense. You have a Maestro who's full health, you have a Mute who's full health, but you also have a Habana who's full health. So if the defense plays this correctly and pushes at the proper time, talk about playing it correctly, that was not the correct way, and absolutely walking into the line of sight is everybody on the defense, and Habana basically getting a free clutch, as I don't know where the intel was from Victoria's Secret, but it obviously wasn't in the correct places, as they completely misplayed that round.
Where was the communication on that one? It feels bad to harp about communication this much over the course of a series, but that was a situation. You were in a 1v2. You have 3 people dead, and the person who just died, all of them who could potentially see it. Some of them would probably be on cameras trying to search for the Habana, but theoretically you would have...
Cams.
Yeah,
you would... 3 Maestro cams.
Just 2 Maestro cams, but even still...
2 Maestro cams, yeah, my fault.
Even still, the person who died should be able to, at the very least, even if you don't have a call out for that section, she was literally on the other side of the wall as the Maestro. So you could say up against the wall next to you. And even if Maestro doesn't know exactly where on the wall it is, so she can't fire through the wall, she can still peek around the corner with her sights trained against the wall. We saw when that one Brit decided to peek around the corner, she was actually looking toward Van. She was looking toward the garage door. She wasn't looking directly toward the wall. So again, just miscommunication all the time of Disrupt doing basically whatever they want, and Victoria's Secret being none the wiser. The only person who realizes something happened is the one who died, and that's not really all that helpful. So even though Victoria's Secret has taken a round, it was on the back of a disconnect, and we haven't really seen them shape up their main misdoings.
I mean, that was a complete misplay by Victoria's Secret. It was a 2v1 where if you just get a lick of information where the Hibana is, it's over. Even dropping the hatch in that situation is just not smart. Most of the time you want to probably come down the yellow stairs, take it a little bit slower. Yes, the diffuser was down, and that kind of puts you in a position as Maddox is able to find one on Estrella super early on. That's the pulse off the board. A very important operator. So much intel that could have been gifted to the defense is completely wiped out immediately. But, I mean, back to that last round. There's so many ways you could have played that would have easily gone in favor of Victoria's Secret, and they just didn't do it, unfortunately. They could have slowed things down, they could have established some type of crossfire, could have figured out where the Hibana was, or just made a proper call out on exactly where the Hibana was after somebody has died, and they just weren't able to do it. And unfortunately, another disconnect for the side of DG. This is just plaguing them this entire day, and it sucks because it's 100% out of your control, and it just hurts a little bit as that's going to be Fry Queen once again off the board early on. But it does even up the tables just a little bit. At least it's not a man advantage in favor of Victoria's Secret, but it still just kind of hurts the mentality of DG, even though they still are up 4-1, so they won't make it 4-1 and also a 4-3 man advantage, so they shouldn't look at it as too much of a negative.
Yeah, especially now, and we're going to see the projector wall get opened up here. Maddox tries to trade shots back and forth with Sketchopotamus, but neither of them able to do anything yet. However, Sketchopotamus is in a very sketchy position here. As she's getting grenaded, there's angles coming from all over that could potentially shoot her when she's trying to rotate out, but unfortunately, she wasn't completely pushed out by that grenade, in which case she can still stand here, but as she tries to move around the table, Maddox will be able to take that out. Brings us down to a 4v2, and the diffuser is starting to go down, a 4v1. It is now the Maestro alone, and we talk a lot about Maestro's gun, but a 1v4 is just a little bit too much, especially when they know where she is and has the sights trained right on her, as Maddox just takes her out immediately with a nice series of shots. So overall, Victorious are once again slipping. They're slipping further and further. This time around, it was looking pretty decisively in favor of Disrupt, despite the fact that there was a disconnect too.
It's just weird because this is not at all the Victoria's Secret we've grown accustomed to seeing. We've expected... The one thing with Victoria's Secret throughout the entire regular season was they were one of the most gelled teams. They were always right back for a refrag, right behind their other player. They had things organized, even in situations where things are basically chaos. They were always extremely organized. They had good communication. And everything that I just said right there is something they haven't been doing this entire time. They're not communicating properly. It seems like everybody's playing by themselves. Things are not aligning whatsoever for Victoria's Secret. And we were talking about DG in a situation almost exactly the same as this last map. This is a perfect time to reset, and for Victoria's Secret, this is again another perfect time to reset. They're being put onto the attack. This is a defender-sided map. It's not even close to as defender-sided as Cafe is, but it's still a defender-sided map, so they're going to have to be kind of climbing uphill here, as well as the fact, yeah, they're down rounds, but sides have switched. The mentality needs to change. They need to hit that hard reset button and figure things out right here.
10 seconds left.
They absolutely do, and the side switch is a good place to do it with. So we'll see what their defense holds. So far, going up to the console office, I'm actually a little bit surprised that they don't immediately go down toward the cafeteria, considering Thermite's banned again. So that site will be a lot more useful, and generally you want to pick it first so you have as many opportunities to defend that as possible. But maybe they're trying to basically play one over on Disrupt Gaming, where Disrupt probably expects them to go toward the basement, and now they're going upstairs instead. But their operator lineup doesn't really change much, considering that. They probably wouldn't end up bringing the sledge if they were attacking the console's office. But overall, you know, the hard breach is going to be Hibana either way. You're not changing that. Nomad's pretty good on this map in general because there are a lot of skinny corridors that the defenders have to go through in order to flank, so they're not really hurting too much on that end. I'm going to be pretty interested to see where they place the Nomad charges. I imagine they're probably going to be on the stairs, just to prevent any roamers from basically flanking around on the same floor as them. They do also have a Jackal to search out roamers too, so pretty good anti-roam game in general.
Yeah, so basically the main objective right now for the attacking team, because they do have a lot of soft destruction, is, well, as shots are just being riddled out from Maddox as she's playing extremely aggressively on this west window. Could go for the jump out, and she is, and is going to be absolutely punished. I don't necessarily know if that was the smartest play in that situation. She is in a smoke, so she's not as valuable as somebody similar that would be playing in that spot, but it's just a body off the board that didn't necessarily need to be off the board that early on. As Alexi is also able to find one, making it a 3v5, and this is the first time I think we've seen Victoria's Secret not off of the backs of a disconnect are starting to look a little bit more like themselves.
And part of it, Disruptor falling into the same folly that Victorious did during the second round, where they just peek these windows at random locations, but Fry Queen and Jihui each able to get a headshot as Rachel Boo trades one back, but that's still a good retaliation from the side of Disrupt after losing their first few players. Still 1 minute left on the clock. The attackers have a man advantage, so there's plenty of time to execute and plenty of map control on their side as well. They're still looking to go for a bit of a console's office take. So one person sitting on the rappels will be able to do quite a bit, but Fry Queen actually challenges the angle and gets it anyway. Estrella goes down, and that one Brit just rushes straight in. Dope Girl finishes off Rachel Boo to clean up the entire team, and Disrupt, despite Victorious off to a 2-person advantage at the start, Disrupt buckle down, they get the headshots, they get the frags, they force Victoria's Secret to get too aggressive, and they win yet another round, forcing match point.
I'm a little bit confused again, because I don't know if it seems like just Victoria's Secret aren't playing with their strats, and they just might not have anything prepared for Consulate, and they're now playing with Instinct, which is either really, really good because Instinct is dangerous because you either die extremely quickly or you get kills very quickly. And right now, it's just for Victoria's Secret, it's the latter. They're just dying very, very quickly every single time. And I don't mean quickly as in super early on in the round. I just mean back to back to back, because we saw it there. They had it was a 5 versus 3. It brought down to a 3 versus 3. And then every single player on Victoria's Secret just basically ran into the site or ran into angles that were being held. I don't know what the mindset was or what the idea of the push was from Victoria's Secret when they reached that 3v3 man count, but whatever it was, they need to scrap it and put it away because it just did not work. There was so many situations where they just kind of, again, waddled right into sight and weren't expecting someone to be in the typical spot. They're just not playing like we've normally seen them play, and it could easily be attributed to the fact that, hey, they might not be prepared for Consulate.
Yeah, and especially confusing, they're not timing their peaks, they're not timing their utility together. We saw a smoke grenade go out into connector, right in front of connector, to basically cover so that whoever was playing repel could either hold the angle or could repel in. But whoever was playing the repel peaked before the smoke grenade popped and just got headshot immediately by the Valk. And then in order to try to refrag, the Jackal pushes up and maybe forgets that the other 2 members of the defense were alive, because she sprints right in front of long desk, which is a very popular spot for defenders to be playing. And she had nobody on her side, on admin, watching the long desk. Like, that play would be fine if you had someone over there, but they didn't. So, again, maybe it's they don't have strats for this. Maybe they're playing on instinct, like you said. It's very, very confusing to see Victorious play like this, especially after that first map. Feels like 2 completely different series.
Yeah, that was 100%. The first map was one-sided in favor of Victoria's Secret, and you were going off that game, and you were looking at the passive Disrupt and how they respond to momentum, and you were expecting, okay, this game is probably going to end 2-0. And then we're completely shut down. Victoria's Secret are not playing like themselves. The beginning of the rounds have just been all over the place. The only round they have won was on the back of a disconnect. And they've been put into this corner and they are just not attempting to get out. It is 6-1. Anything can happen. This is the game of Siege. It is the most fluid game in the world, and you could easily see the side of Victoria's Secret come right back into this game. Is it probable? Not really. Is it likely? Not really. Is it possible? Yes. But Victoria's Secret have to change quite a bit if they want to make it possible.
And Maddox will start the round off with a kill, so if we're talking about Victorious taking momentum back into their favor, that certainly doesn't help, and Sketchopotamus will find one off of a really good location right there. I'll have to keep that in mind for whenever I play, to basically flush out anyone in bathroom, because that was a very nice angle there. But that still only evens it up, and if we've seen anything so far, Disrupt really like being even. They can get advantages really quickly, and Maddox will do just that as she peeks around the corner, but will she know someone's behind her? Yes. Sorry, no, she does know. She had her sights in that direction, but that one bridge is a little bit too fast and gets the headshot instead. So 30 seconds left on the clock, and the attackers don't have as much space as they want, especially when you're attacking the basement.
Yeah, the attackers are basically littered across the entire map, and they're not in positions that you'd really want to be in, as they've all now, once being littered, have gathered around this yellow stairs, and this is basically hell in a cell at this point, as Jack was going to run in. Shots are going to be missed by Chameleonaire, but it doesn't matter, as Dope Girl is able to help her out, and Chameleonaire is able to shut it down. And just like that, we are going to be going to a map 3 to decide who is going to be in the grand final against Artemis. The thing I have to take away from this game, though, is we saw a completely different Disrupt on the first time around than we saw this time around. And then we saw a completely different Victoria's Secret on the first map than we see on this map. It's just shocking that it's two completely opposite series, but they're both the same teams. It's just something you really do not expect to see.
Ooh.
That was an impressive showing by Disrupt. I think they heard what we were talking about, saying, and when this is the conversation you and I had, Azaraki, about they need to come back with a statement. Not just a win, but a statement. And that was it. I think they put momentum in their favor. The fear now is that maybe you've awoken the beast. Because maybe Victoria's Secret is thinking the exact same thing that Disrupt thought coming into that game and saying, we can't let that happen again. That was a phenomenal round, though, and Fry Queen just stepped up. That was 11 kills in 8 rounds. But the thing was, it was by the 6th round that she already had 8 kills, and then her team just continued to step up around her as well. So I think that was a nice complementing effort of having your star player, but the entire team played well, whereas it looked like Victoria's Secret didn't really. What would you like to see, Henry, from Victorious going into the final match, which will be on Clubhouse, by the way?
The question, I think, for Victoria's Secret is their cup half full or is their cup half empty? They had the first map. They won the first map convincingly. They went into the second map probably fairly confident and then just got absolutely thrashed. Now they're going into the third map. They do not want to harp on the fact we lost, oh my god, what's going on, sound the alarms kind of thing. They obviously want to address their mistakes because that's something you need to do. Hindsight, it's 2020. So look back at those mistakes, figure out what you did wrong, and go into this next game, fresh mind. But the problem is, Victoria's Secret, again, this is a best of 3. None of these teams have been in these situations where they have to clear their mindset going into this decider map. The decider map, nothing matters anymore. You can look back at the Disrupt game. You can look back at the game that Disrupt won. You can look back at the game Victoria's Secret won. It does not matter. This is the most important map. You have to have a clean mind. You have to go into this map with what you'd go into it as a best of 1 situation. And I think the problem is with Victoria's Secret, they haven't been tested like this before. They haven't, I think, even had a close to as aggressive thrashing as that was from Disrupt. So I think there's a lot going through their head right now, and the only thing they need to do is just clear it all out, address their mistakes, and then just focus up on this Clubhouse game. Because again, the question is their cup half full or is it half empty? Are they negative going into this game? Are they positive going into this game? We're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, and essentially what you said, we are back to square one at this point. We are no closer to finding out who is going to be going to the final match than we were when they first started playing, as they are all tied up now. But we are going to flip to a quick break so we can come back and watch that final match, which will be on Clubhouse. We'll see everyone in just a few minutes.
And now Sketchopotamus is the last one left into bathroom, but that's not going to be who. He didn't do it, then maybe someone else would have as well. So it's definitely speaks a lot better to their teamwork, and Rachel Boo has thrown their bodies at Disrupt, and they just haven't been landing anything.
Yeah, DG hasn't even gotten into the building, but Victoria's Secret, in terms of even their playstyle, there's also the situation that one Brit is in. It's
Easy win for them, especially after that air jab. They'll know she's trying to rotate. Bulk of their forces are so far, but Rachel's actually going to take down Maddox. So a little
It's going to be a game of winning your gunfights, and in a 4v1 situation, well, the defense has 4 chances to win theirs, and well, Chameleonaire only has technically given to the attackers, but Sketchopotamus sitting in that bathroom could definitely be a problem on that late flank, but it's going to be Maddox is able to from behind again, and you just need to have that intel if you're Jihui, knowing that you should not probably push into that, but Maddox talking about pushing it. 416 Carbine could definitely do numbers and do something with it, but it's going to be yeah, we are going to be seeing Rachel Boo just looming and waiting to see the person in piano, but it's just a game of rain around the side of Disrupt, but it's slowly falling apart, as now it's just up to the Thatcher and the Habana, and they've already done making it a 4v2, so it's getting somewhat close. She could easily find another one. Wonders and has clutched up before. Can she do it again, though? It looks like she just might. Chameleonaire is able to find 3, making it a 2v2, and pushes at the proper time. Talk about playing it correctly. That was not the correct way, and absolutely walking.
Wasn't completely pushed out by that grenade, in which case she can still stand here, but as she tries to move around and the diffuser is starting to go down, a 4v1. It is now the Maestro alone, and we talk a lot about Maestro's gun, but a 1v4 is just a little bit too much.
Extremely aggressively on this west window. Could go for the jump out, and she is, and is going to be absolutely punished. I don't necessarily know her that would be playing in that spot, but it's just a body off the board that didn't necessarily need to be off the board that early on. As Alexi is also
into the same folly that Victorious did during the second round, where they just peek these windows at random locations. Person sitting on the rappels will be able to do quite a bit, but Fry Queen actually challenges the angle and gets it anyway. Estrella goes down, and they can get advantages really quickly, and Maddox will do just that as she peeks around the corner, but will she know someone's behind her? Yes.
is being littered have gathered around this yellow stairs, and this is basically hell in a cell at this point, as Jack was going to run in. Shots are going to be missed by Chameleonaire, but it doesn't matter, as Dope Girl is able to help her.
Good evening and welcome back, everybody. We are going into a very exciting match number 3 or map number 3 of a best of 3. I'm Brimstone, of course. We've got Red Cube. We've got Azaraki here. We're going to get into it in just a moment here. This is going to be Victoria's Secret and DG for the deciding match. Who will go to the grand final here? They are going to be playing on Clubhouse, which is very interesting because we talked about this when we were talking about our predictions for the map bans coming out and saying that it was back in week number 2 when we've also talked about this as well. 2 very different disrupts and Victoria's Secrets at the beginning of the year, but they faced off, or beginning of the season, they faced off in week number 2 with Disrupt Gaming taking it 7-3 on this exact map that's coming out in Clubhouse. How has Victoria's Secret grown over this season that gives them the advantage, or do you think maybe not advantage anymore, Henry, over Disrupt Gaming?
I really don't know. I every prediction I've made in CCSW, I think I'm like 2 for 406. So don't trust what I say.
We'll get a stat check from a producer on that.
We'll get CGG on that one. But no, I really do not know, because Disrupt, they took the win on this map the first time around. Victoria's Secret, it was a fairly convincing round in favor of Disrupt. But the thing is, Victoria's Secret has evolved into a completely different animal than what they were at the beginning of this season. They've had coaching from Goddess, who is a Pro League player. Well, now a CL player. I'm sorry. But they have what it takes to completely change, to have a completely different playstyle on the map of Clubhouse. And it's going to be really hard to see who has the advantage here, because there's information on DG on this map. There's information on Victoria's Secret on this map. There's information on everybody on this map. And it's just kind of a game where this means everything. This is, you make it to the grand finals, you don't make it to the grand finals. Every game has led to this situation. This is the last game to determine if you make it or if you don't make it. So I think everything's on the line here. I don't really have any advantage going to either of these teams.
Well, speaking of making it or not making it, let's have a look at the brackets here. Show us who's made it so far and what it'll look like depending on which team makes it here. Of course, Artemis took the first set today, 2-0 over Queen YOLO Mid, moving on to the grand final tomorrow. And right now we're going to find out who's going to be taking on Artemis for that grand final match. And before that, who will be taking on Queen YOLO Mid for that 3rd place match. This is Victoria's Secret, Disrupt Gaming. They have 1 win apiece here. Azaraki, quick prediction. What team and what will be the final scoreline of this match?
Don't do it. Don't do it, Azaraki.
Oh, I love predictions, right? Even if I'm wrong, I embrace predictions so hard. I love doing them. So here's the thing. This is one of the hardest predictions of this entire season, because Disrupt first map and Disrupt second map were completely different. Same with Victorious. First map, second map, completely different. If both of the Victorious the Victorious teams, so basically Victorious during Cafe shows up against Disrupt during Consulate, I think Victorious is still going to take that. But it's so hard to tell which team is going to show up. I'm going to assume the best happens and both of the teams show up at their best at the match that they won, and I'm going to say it's a 7-4 in favor of Victorious.
I really don't want to see this map turn out to be a one-sided map. I really don't, because I want the best team to come out of this situation and be in the grand finals. And speaking of the very last match of the day, we are here on the map of Clubhouse to wrap it all up into the operator ban phase. We've seen some interesting bans today. We've seen some really typical bans, and I'm probably expecting both of these teams are a little bit nervous. The pressure is on. I'm not expecting too many crazy bans off the board. Maverick, no surprises whatsoever. This is probably going to be the most typical ban phase we've seen all day.
Yeah, I'm hoping it is at least. And one thing that I do have to say is that if both of these teams, if they don't show up this map, then I'm kind of worried about how they'll fare in the grand finals, because Artemis has looked strong through and through. So these teams are going to have to make sure that they use this match to shore up their weaknesses and to strengthen their resolve, so that when they go up against someone like Artemis, they don't have these situations where an entire map they play where they're not looking like they have the entire season and suddenly performing a lot worse. And
Yeah.
that's something I'm a little worried about. But turning our attention toward the bans, you were talking about standard bans. This is very standard.
You can't get much standard than what you see right there. Echo, Mira, Capital, Maverick. This is Clubhouse. Those bands are 100% the bands you're gonna typically see. Maybe the Mira out for a Maestro, give or take, but this is basically as meta as you can get with a map of Clubhouse, and this is something I really wanted to see. I didn't want to see any crazy bans. I didn't want to see something super out of the ordinary because I feel like that damages the integrity of the game just a little bit. And in a situation like this where everything needs to be put onto the table, I'm glad we're seeing the most consistent, quote unquote, consistent Clubhouse that we've seen so far throughout CCS and throughout Pro League and throughout every competition where Clubhouse is played.
Yeah, Clubhouse at this point has been played so much. A lot of teams have really embraced this map, so a lot of strats on every site, pretty much every site except Bar. I think teams are still kind of like straying away from Bar and just not touching it with a 10-foot pole because, frankly, you don't have to. When the map rotation is 3 maps, so you win all 3 maps, or sorry, site rotation. You win all 3 sites, you can go back to that first site, so you never have to play the 4th site on any map if you don't want to. So teams are obviously not going to play a Bar unless they have some crazy thing up their sleeve. But looking at the CCTV cache defense, one of the main standard ones here, this or Church, are what teams like to go for. It seems pretty standard overall. We have an ACOG playing Garage. We have standard reinforcements everywhere. Bit of soft destruction between sites. I like that extra hole leading to Garage. The castle is pretty interesting. They're actually closing off all of the lobby right beneath cache and CCTV with the castle barricades, and I really like that strategy because there's so much that a Buck could potentially do if he's down there. We've seen a lot of teams pull off really good frag grenades from down below if they cook it for the right amount of time and they have the right amount of intel. So putting castle barricades down there to deny that space, I'm all for it.
Yeah, as well as the fact we are also seeing a situation where Clubhouse is the most played map in entire competitive Siege, only behind Border. So there's so much you can learn on Clubhouse. I think Border has been fleshed out where there's not much you can even do on Border anymore that hasn't been done, whereas Clubhouse isn't even reaching that point, even though it's been played so much. So it's been played multiple times, and you're kind of expecting the strats to get a little bit linear, but that's not at all the case with Clubhouse. Clubhouse is, I think, the most fluid map in the entire map pool, and we could easily see a really, really different play style from both of these teams. It's just going to be which team kind of shows up. We saw a really good DG, we saw a really bad DG, and we saw a really good Victoria's Secret, and then a really bad Victoria's Secret. So it's going to be which Victoria's Secret and which DG, almost a DZ, which DG are we going to see on this map? But good start here as the Bandit gets taken out fairly early on. That's going to open up the wall right in the cache. That puts a lot of pressure on the defenders and also opens up quite a bit of lines of sight onto the defenders as well. So it puts them on the back heel just a little bit early on here.
Speaking of pressure in the east wall, it didn't seem like the Bandit was put under any pressure. There was nobody outside the construction side window. A little Lexi with a very nice pickoff on the Garage there. But yeah, I didn't see anything that would force Bandit to basically mess up his trick, but yet the Bandit messed up the trick. So the wall got opened anyway. And that's a little bit of a misplay there. Chameleonaire is over here way on the long angle, but she wasn't there at the beginning to basically try to pressure the Bandit off of the wall. So definitely a very good start by Disrupt, but with 30 seconds remaining, they have to start making a move. They can't be sitting around for too long, especially since when they push into CCTV, they needed to take care of the stairway, they need to take care of the Garage, and little Lexi just peeks around the corner, gets her 3rd kill, 2nd headshot in a row. And we'll see if she can get more. Watching the very standard east wall window, but it looks like the diffuser's actually all the way downstairs in the bottom of Garage. Can she even get there in 9 seconds? That's going to be the question here as Chameleonaire is watching the rotation, but it looks like, no, Dope Girl's just not going to make it. We're going to see a timeout.
Yeah, the round is over as time management was the issue for Disrupt, which is something we haven't seen at all today. We only have seen one round and that was actually, yes, on Cafe. DG did fall into this situation where I
seemed
think
like
it was about 10 seconds left. They tried to go for a push. We said, oh, it's going to be super explosive. And then they just didn't go for a push. They didn't get the diffuser down, and the round ended. Kind of same story here. They were in relatively good positions to maybe get some type of push on the site, but the fact that there was still a very good presence in Garage. You still had a couple players on site. The man advantage was in favor of the defenders. A lot of things were up against DG, and I think in that type of situation, not only did you not just have enough time to rotate downstairs and grab the diffuser, but even if you grabbed the diffuser with time to spare, I don't think planting it would have been a viable option. You would have just had to run in and try to go for kills at that point.
At that point, yeah. And one thing I also want to mention is the idea that I think a lot of that actually can be contributed to the castle, because that sort of those castle barricades denying the lobby directly underneath the lobby near the vending machines directly underneath CCTV. There are a lot of things that the attackers can do from there. They can toss grenades up, cook them long enough so that they blow up right against the floor and take out a kill that way. It's another entrance into Garage, and Garage during that map was huge. The fact that Lil Lexi was able to just sit there, play Garage, get 3 kills. No one could flush her out because they couldn't get into Garage. Like, there were the reinforced walls directly beneath Lexi. She held down the main doorway to Garage perfectly. It just got so hard to flush her out because of those castle barricades where they're denying the space, denying an extra rotation into Garage. So really, I don't want to pin the entire thing on the castle barricade because there are plenty of ways to get around that, but it definitely put a spike in Disrupt's plans.
Yeah, and on a site like Cache, most of the time whoever has control of Garage near the later half of the push or the later half of the round is going to win that round, because it's just such a hot area for contestation and just being back and forth gunplay. Just whoever wins it out seriously has almost, I would say, like a 9 out of 10 chance of winning that round out, because you can retake site from that area. You can hold down angles if you're the attacking team from that area. There's just so many things you can do with that Garage, and the fact that we saw Victoria's Secret just hold it extremely well, it just shut down the push from Disrupt. And now going back downstairs to the site that hasn't been relatively changed since the rework of Clubhouse. This is probably the site most people are comfortable on. It might not be the most viable, but it's definitely where everybody is a little bit comfortable in how to attack it and how to defend it. But starting out, Disrupt is actually going to start on the, well, not anymore. It's going to even up the slates here, as Rachel Blue was able to get one onto Jahui. So a Kaid for a Zofia. In my opinion, it's a fairly even trade because there's a utility on both ends of the spectrum. But the one problem with losing that Kaid is if you wanted to impact trick that bar wall, you can't do it anymore because you don't have impacts, but you could maybe rotate that Legion down, and Legion could do that job. But I don't think that's even the objective of the defenders at this point in time. There is a minute left here. And talking about objectives, I think the objective for DG is just a little bit clouded, as everybody's kind of all over the place. You have a couple people in kitchen, you have a couple people waiting on the stairs to maybe push down the stairs, but they only have 50 seconds left, and there doesn't seem to be too much of a foundation of exactly what they want to do. But something that is going to happen that is going to be very, very good to maybe start that foundation up is the fact that Smoke has been picked off sitting inside of dirt. Most of the time that is Smoke's domain. It's almost impossible to challenge a Smoke in that situation, but it has resulted in a situation where the plant is coming down, and it's also a 3v1. So even with a lack of foundation in the later half of this round, it does not matter, as DG make an effective execute on the site, and it's going to be a 3v1 retake situation for the Legion.
Yeah, and this is going to be a very tough retake, especially considering she has to fight down this hallway, which is the hallway of death. A lot of people try to run through it, but to no avail for the most part. Ooh, nice headshot there by Rachel Boo. She's going to push through Moto, but will get shut down from the blue tunnels. And that, honestly, Victoria's Secret didn't react pretty much at all to the Smoke dying into dirt. So what Victorious should have done is they should have pulled the rest of the team over toward the Armory, because they knew that the majority of Disrupt were upstairs in kitchen. So once they clear out the dirt tunnel, once they drone it out, and they realize that nobody is watching any of the angles in Armory, Arsenal, they can just drop. Right? And no one was there to capitalize on the fact that they were dropping or anything like that, so they got free map control. The other thing I noticed was that Rachel Boo playing the Legion after the smoke died, even though she was playing the main stairs next to kitchen, she didn't go to kitchen. She didn't go to kitchen to try to uproot and flank the attackers who were holding the angles. She didn't try to play the vertical game down on anyone who was planting. She decided to go back down the stairs into that long L hallway that we see.
Yeah.
And that was a really questionable decision for me. I think she had a much better position if she were to challenge kitchen instead, especially if she did it early enough that the rest of her team was alive. So overall, Victoria's Secret, I think, played the latter stages of that round pretty poorly.
Yeah, there was really no evidence of a push going into that Moto area, but I felt like the focus of almost everybody on Victoria's Secret, even when the smoke was dying and it looked like, okay, the push is 100% going to Armory, nobody reacted. It was just, okay, I still think it's going to be a bar push. I still think it's going to be a Moto push, so let's put our bodies here. And that's probably why the Legion, instead of dropping the kitchen hatch or trying to flank up to kitchen, decided to just go back down the stairs, because in the back of her head, for some odd reason, even though there was no evidence supporting it, she just thought that the push was going to be coming down from Moto or going down those regular stairs, and it just did not happen. And that's what resulted in DG winning that round out, because it just felt like you said, the late round play from Victoria's Secret was kind of all over the place and wasn't really organized. But the first kill is going to be onto a Legion, and Legion is one of those operators that gets stronger as the round goes on, and you really don't want to see him die first, because that means he did not use even close to the amount of utility that he could have. So that really hurts the defense here, because Legion's utility is extremely valuable, not only for intel, but also slowing down the attack, and the fact that he's dead immediately just kind of hurts him just a bit. They are able to even out the table here as Sledge goes down at the hands of, I think it was the Maestro. So no more grenades to worry about, but once again, I still think that trade goes in favor of the attacking team, because Legion is just such a powerful operator when he is alive late in the round.
Yeah, we're seeing ADSs burn down pretty much anything trying to get Little Lexi out of here. So that spot that Little Lexi in is a very strong one, because it basically shuts down all of the blue tunnel, forces the attackers to be unable to push down there, because they have to push through this long hallway with no cover, and if there's any sort of intel or even, there you go, barbed wire, that barbed wire is far down. Oh no. We saw that on our cameras right before our very eyes. Another disconnect. That can't feel good for the side of Disrupt. But yeah, as I was saying, blue tunnel is just super important. To what?
Wow.
Everything's falling apart.
Somebody Thanos snapped. Somebody did. I don't know who it was, but somebody got the Infinity Stones. Thanos snapped, and two of the players of DG just got put into the realm and just turned into dust. And that really hurts this attack. So making it a 2v4 in a spot that it was once a 4v4 has quickly gone in favor of Victoria's Secret, and they didn't even have to do anything to make it go in favor of them. They just kind of had to sit back and wait for the internet problems to do their duty.
So yeah, we see, oh, actually Jihui gets the better of that one. I was going to say, these barbed wires in blue tunnel that are placed far enough back that if you make noise on them or try to break them, you don't have enough space to back off and be safe, so the attacker can just, or the defender can just peek around. 2 seconds left, they're not going to be able to do this. It was just really an unfortunate series of disconnects, and a lot of times we can look at things and say, oh, they got a disconnect, but you know, the rest of the round still, they didn't look too strong or anything like that. But when you have 2 disconnects in the same round, you really can't make any assumptions there. It was sort of like any angles that you were planning to hold got killed, and suddenly you're down to 2 versus 4. Like, what sort of strategies do they have? What sort of backup strategies could you possibly have for that sort of situation?
And it's a 2v4 where most of the time, say if it was a 4v4 and say those 2 operators just died, at least one of those operators would have most likely landed maybe 1 bullet onto the defenders and just brought him or her, depending on the operator being played, down just a tad bit of health. And that matters. But the fact that it was just disconnects and the defense didn't have to give up their positions, they just sat and waited, it really leaves a sour taste in your mouth if you're DG. But if you're Victoria's Secret, you gotta be... You hate to see it. You definitely are like, oh, shucks. But on the inside, you're kind of like, okay, I like that because it's a lot easier to win around when it's a 4v2 instead of it being a 4v4. I'm really hoping, just for the sake, again, we've been using this word just a lot, especially with this game, is I hope there's no more disconnects because it just ruins the integrity of this game and just how important this game really is and just how even these two teams are going into this matchup, one apiece. Who's going to the grand final? Like, this is the perfect stage for a super good game, and just disconnects and things of that nature kind of ruin it just a bit. So I'm hoping that does not happen again.
Yeah, let's hope for the best. And meanwhile, we're going back up to a CCTV cache defense, so 3 rounds have passed, therefore they can play this site again. And one thing I want to see change on the side of Disrupt in terms of how they should win this round is, well, for the most part, just play a lot faster. Second, they need an answer to this garage play by Little Lexi. She's shown that you absolutely cannot challenge her through the main door. So they need to bring some hard destruction down beneath, so you can open up the walls directly beneath Little Lexi and get into garage through there. Basically, once you're in garage, you have plenty of options, but getting in there is so tough. Especially, I think they pulled off the same castle strat as before, where I actually want to see the sledge go down to the first floor and open up some of those castle barricades to basically just give your team more options in dealing with Lexi, because we got the main wall open, and that's really good. No one was able to trick it. But from here, even though that's a super important wall, it doesn't really mean much if you can't get the person out of garage.
Yeah. As we're going to be seeing the Kaid as well. So you have Kaid just playing extremely far back off of sight and is most likely going to get caught into a gunfight with the Thatcher. But I agree. Doesn't seem to be really too much in terms of trying to clear out the person in garage and trying to get control below the site even. That's where Sledge should definitely be and should be addressing those castle barricades, because that's kind of his main job. And the fact that we're not seeing that from DG is a little bit odd, and I'm definitely questioning it quite a bit. But Kaid is actually going to go down to... I'm a little bit confused on how that happened. Did Fry Queen jump through the window? Or
I think so.
I'm guessing, yeah. Okay, I'm guessing Fry Queen jumped through the window because I can see the blood splatters on the wall, and it looks like just Fry Queen hopped in. So, well, the Kaid wasting a lot of time, but was in turn pinched by 3 different operators. Most likely he's not going to survive that one out. Talking about not surviving one out, Castle is in a down but not out stage. Rachel Boo, though, is able to find one onto Maddox as Maddox gets a little bit too aggressive, trying to maybe confirm the kill on the Castle going through the rotate. But Dope Girl is able to find one onto Lil Lexi, making it a 3v4 situation. So... Not the castle. No, it was the castle that was down. So it was a 3v4 situation. Castle has been picked back up, and Doc and Kaid, your 2 ACOGs, have been taken off of the board. And really, the only person with a reliable gun in this situation is going to be that Jaeger. So it's going to be very hard for the defense to do really anything about it. But Rachel Boo is trying to climb back into this one. He's able to find one. It's still going to be a 2v3, and the plant is coming down. Shots are being riddled out. Unfortunately, none of which are going to land, and the plant is down. So a retake situation when man advantage is not in your favor, as well as the fact you don't necessarily have the best firepower, it's not looking good. And just like that, DG are able to bring one back. They didn't have anybody disconnect this time around, and they tie it up 2-2-2.
I want to point out that round that the Kaid was... I'm not really sure what the plan there was. I think she definitely bought a lot of time, but going for a play like that is incredibly hard unless you have someone else who's willing to back you up in construction. But with their setup, there wasn't really anyone who would be able to do that. You know, we had one person on the stairs near lobby. That's a very important position because not only do you challenge the stairs from lobby, but you can also challenge the walk-in through the east wall that was opened. So you can't take that person away from there. You can't take the person away from garage because that's ridiculously important, and Little Lexi's very good at playing that. You know, there was someone downstairs making sure that no one could get into the... no one could get right beneath CCTV, and no one could rotate into garage. And then you had someone inside of cache who was holding the angle near the window. So at that point, who could you really use to peel off and help Kaid get out of the situation in construction? There's not really a clear answer there, so the answer ends up being Kaid shouldn't have been playing that far up in construction because the attackers... we saw the attackers, we had 2 pushing through master bedroom, we had 1 looking in through the
I think one of the master
one from the
bedroom was
office.
also going through logistics as well.
Yes,
it
the
was just all
logistics
over the
office.
place.
Yeah, there was one there, so that's another angle they covered, and then the one that actually got the kill was the Hibana, who jumped in through the construction window. So 3 different locations that you could be shot from, no one on your team to back you up. At that point, Kaid should honestly just be playing on site.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It reached a point where he couldn't rotate back in order to try to just save his life. So maybe even instead of just playing on site, yeah, you can play there, but you got to rotate back to site maybe just a little bit earlier on. And we are seeing this game, and I think a lot of viewers are like, oh, it's a really close game, and we love to see it. It's 2-2. But Clubhouse is one of the most defender-sided maps. We've had a bunch of defender-sided maps. I mean, every map in Siege is defender-sided, even Coastline, just by a slim amount. But every map we've played today has been significantly defender-sided except Consulate. And the fact that we're on a defender-sided map here, and the defending team is tied with the attacking team, that is a little bit alarming if you are Victoria's Secret. But again, we have seen many patterns, such as statistics and things, be completely wrong, as Little Lexi is able to find one in Jahui. That's just unfortunate timing for Jahui, as I think Jahui was watching that angle for like 30 minutes, and then the moment she decides to rappel up is the moment that Little Lexi decides to peek out, and that's going to be the Zofia off of the board. So the defenders have the advantage in terms of statistics, but they aren't necessarily kind of capitalizing on that. So you could say this is still in favor of DG simply because they have that opportunity to go back to defense in the later half of this game. Because if this turns into a draw and it is 3-3, you definitely are favoring DG in these types of situations. But Lil Lexi, once again in Garage, it's just so hard to deal with her, and she makes her presence known, finding 2 kills, one on Thermite, one on Zofia, a lot of utility off the board, and DG just do not know how to address her.
Little Lexi's looking to drag her team across the finish line at this point. She's been holding down Garage by herself for an incredibly long time, and to the rest of her... Ooh, wow. Really nice kill on the drop there as Estrella. No one was expecting her to be down there, and that's actually, I think, a much better position for her to play rather than where the Kaid was before, who was all out and about. So she was near the bars, so she has much more options to rotate out. She could rotate through stairs or all the way down, and Rachel Boo's going to get another kill. Leaves us with a 1v5 as Fry Queen is forced to basically try to pull this round together. Gets 1 frag, but there's still 4 left, and 1 looking up through the hatch. Does she know someone's there? The C4 goes out. It's not going to get a kill, however, it does tip her off to know that there's someone down there. Fry Queen gets another headshot onto Rachel Boo. Is it going to be enough, though, as 17 seconds are left on the clock? At this point, the defenders just need to wait it out if they can. Fry Queen gets another one. That's a 1v3 triple kill, but not going to be able to get any more as Estrella finally rotates around through the Garage and ends her reign of terror.
The defense there, they had an opportunity to make 5 mistakes and still win that round. They made 3 of them, but it was just that 4th one where they finally addressed it. And it's just unfortunate there for Fry Queen, because she had 0 opportunity to make a mistake. It was a 1v4 situation where she needed to be 100% perfect through and through. And she looked perfect for the early going of it, but it just kind of all, well, you don't expect anyone to win in that situation, and unfortunately, she wasn't able to win in that situation. And now it is 3-2 in favor of the defense. If we see Victoria's Secret take this half 4-2, that is a very comfortable spot for both of these teams, because again, it's a defender-sided map, so you're kind of expecting to give up a little bit more rounds when you are on the attacking side. So if DG go into the half down 4-2, they should not be looking down at themselves at all, and should be, I wouldn't say positive, but content with where they are in terms of round count.
Yeah, that's a pretty standard, pretty good round count to be. You know, Clubhouse is another one of those maps. I was talking about it before on Villa, but you basically expect to win Cash and Arsenal, and then your third site is the one that you end up losing. So they're on track to do a similar thing. You know, the exact sites that they won or lost have been different, but overall, 4-2 is still a pretty standard way to go. You know, talking a little bit more about what we saw last round, I think, yeah, it comes down to not being able to challenge Lil Lexi in the Garage.
Yeah.
Luckily, Disrupt don't have to attack the Garage ever again for this series, because we're switching sides after this attack here. But we do see Rachel Boo sporting the Clash for this time around, so that is Victorious's adaptation for this time around.
Yeah, we haven't seen a Clash play in this series. Wait, have we? No, we've only. Yes, we have.
Yeah,
We've
we
seen
have.
Clash played on Cafe.
It feels
with
like a
DG.
completely different series,
Yeah,
honestly.
right. I thought
The
that. I
teams
thought that
play
was
so
something.
differently.
Yeah, I thought that was something completely different. So it makes sense though, because again, the play style of both of these teams have changed drastically throughout this series, and this is the first time we are going to be seeing a Clash on the map of Clubhouse. You don't typically see a Clash played on Clubhouse. Sometimes you actually see it in Cache, maybe to just sit in Garage and spit out intel. But on the downstairs defense, I'm not 100% familiar with a very viable position for that Clash to play. Maybe on kind of that Moto area, calling out if anybody moves down the stairs or tries to put a thermite charge down. But it's going to be interesting to see how the side of Victoria's Secret actually play this Clash and what they decide to do with it. Sometimes you see actually a Clash in blue as well. There's kind of a couple situations where you might see a Clash in play. But again, it's not the most typical operator you would bring on a site like this.
How does Sledge's hammer destroy the boards underneath the metal bars?
That is a great question. That is one of Siege's
Never really
greatest
occurred to
mysteries.
me, but
Or-
I just
or
saw
like-
it happen, and
Yeah, it's like he might maybe like he knows where the bars are and just like slams it super hard and it goes like through. I don't know. And like, where do you put reinforcements? There's so many questions that have to be answered. Like, I don't know. Siege is weird. Siege is a weird game. How do they have all this space for all these types of utilities? I don't know. It doesn't matter though, as Maddox is able to find a kill. It's going to be onto the Legion. Once again, I've talked about it before. Losing a Legion early on is something you really do not want to do, as he is one of the only operators in Siege that gets stronger as the round goes on. So very, very unfortunate start for the defense here.
yeah, and the defense, they do have time on their side, however, as
Yeah.
there's 35 seconds left, and the attackers would want some more map control. Ooh, Jihui actually trips the goo mine, but still gets the frag, as there's no extra aggression there. Maestro Cam's going to take her down to about half health, but it's still not going to be enough to really phase her, as the one Brit. Let's see what she can do here. Going for a headshot, will find it onto Jihui. Continues to spray through the wall, but there's no follow-up kill on that one, and the defuser goes down right underneath the kitchen hatch. So Clash is here. This is a huge position for her, especially considering Sledge is super low. She might actually just be able to down her with the zaps. One more zap, but no, she runs out of energy. Forced to pull out the pistol, and oh no. Disrupt actually managed to take that round off the back of that. And again, as soon as Disrupt decide to execute on this downstairs site, the defense just falls apart.
Yeah, it looks so good because they have time in their hands. They lost the Legion out early on, but even I put quotations around early on because there was only 40 seconds left in the round. So the defense was holding off this push for an extremely long period of time. And then it was about 30 seconds when finally the execute came out, and it just went 100% in favor of DG. And now we are at the half. It is a draw going into the half. This is a disadvantage for Victoria's Secret. This is a defender-sided map. They come out of the half at a draw. That means something went wrong on defense. They weren't able to capitalize on the statistics. They weren't able to kind of get the rounds that they wanted to get to make this a 4-2 or basically in their favor going into the half. And now this is a spot where DG could easily run away with this game. And starting out, they're going to go to a secondary bomb site of Gym Bedroom.
Yeah, so Gym Bedroom is one that I don't think we've actually seen this this map so far, which is basically just indicative of Victorious unfortunately not winning 2 defensive rounds in a row. Otherwise, they would have been forced to go there, but it looks like Disrupt prefer it as their first bomb site, and that might just be to sort of catch Victoria's Secret off guard. But I think Disrupt also have a plan for this site as well, because they do have a castle once again, and castle, whenever you see a castle on the board, you sort of think that there is a specific strategy in mind for whatever site they decide to defend. And so I'm sort of interested to see where those went. All of them are down, but I didn't actually catch any of them.
Yeah, as there we go. Never mind. My computer monitor again went black as it just is so excited from the game, I guess, that it just freaks out and turns off. But we're back, and we are able to see the game here. The one problem, I think, or actually, I think, yeah, the one problem for Victoria's Secret attacking this site is just, again, that element of surprise. You don't expect a team to go to this site in the early goings of a map on Clubhouse. Once they go to defense, you're expecting cash or expecting garage. And the fact that they're opting for the bedroom, it's just a little bit interesting and can definitely throw off the side of Victoria's Secret because they might not be bringing the appropriate operators to address a site like this. In terms of just looking at the operators, though, there's not too many obvious discrepancies where I could say, oh my god, that's exactly the operator you would bring for a basement defense. But there's just none of it. There's none of it. We're kind of seeing pretty fluid operators for the side of Victoria's Secret that can kind of apply to any site. So maybe the element of surprise is just that initial shock. And talking about initial shock, as you see an immediate trade back and forth there, that would have been really hurtful if that wasn't traded out, because that would have been your buck off the board with nothing to really escape from it. But did get that trade, but that is still a trade in favor of the defense. Losing out a castle for 2 grenades and soft destruction, I will take that any day of the week if I'm on the defending side of things.
And I think most people would. But one thing I also want to look at is the fact that Chameleonaire got pushed off of the jacuzzi wall really easily, and partially because she was forced to. Jihui trading shots back and forth. So Chameleonaire actually finally gets the 1 Brit, but Rachel Boo does get 1 kill on her side as well. Dope Girl firing out the window. Disrupt actually looking very strong on their defense so far, even though this is their first defensive round on this map for this series. Now we're down to a 2v3 with 40 seconds left, where the attackers, they don't really have a lot of map control either. You know, they're not really close to site. The diffuser is all the way over by Jacuzzi Wall, and they're pushing through construction. Estrella will finally be able to rotate all the way over here and pick up the diffuser, but overall, she's forced to use X-Kairos on a castle barricade. There's just not a lot going in their favor here. Thatcher has been called over to rotate around toward Jim, and they might go for a plant here, but the fact that the floors are all broken up is going to mean that she's not safe no matter where she decides to plant, and Disrupt will win their first defensive round as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a lead for Disrupt as we went into the half 3-3. We are now into the first round, coming out of it 4-3. And this is just something we have to look back on. The first map was entirely in favor of Victoria's Secret. The second map was entirely in favor of Disrupt. And this map, I think both of these teams are bringing the best of themselves. And it is in favor right now of Disrupt. This has been an all-around series that has changed considerably. It's been up and down, up and down. It's been an absolute roller coaster ride, and I'm really glad to see that this game, the last game on Clubhouse, the most important, is this back and forth, flirting with the lead kind of play.
Yeah, and the thing I was about to say before I got cut off by a series of kills last time was that Chameleonaire was pushed off of the jacuzzi wall from bandit tricking it, partially because there was nobody watching the stairs behind her. So we saw, from her perspective, she was sort of looking back toward the stairs and then looking back toward the wall, and then looking back toward the stairs and back toward the wall. If she had someone who was watching those stairs, she could have been right up against the wall. She could have focused all of her attention there, and she might have gotten the trick down, but I don't know if she didn't call for someone to rotate over there, or just they didn't quite have that plan out. But either way, it didn't really matter in the end, as Disrupt managed to get all the frags and managed to take them down. But it's just something that I noticed about both of these teams. Every now and again have a bit of a miscommunication that plagues them a bit.
Yeah, it's always the small mistakes, I think, for both of these teams. The first game, it was a bunch of small mistakes from Disrupt. The second game was a bunch of small mistakes from Victoria's Secret. And in this game, I think they're still making their mistakes, but there's a lot less of them, and both teams are making almost the same amount of mistakes, and that's why we're seeing it so even. Instead of it being one team kind of messing up a bunch and the other team just doing absolutely amazing, this time around it's a lot less of the messing up a bunch and a lot more of, okay, both teams are doing really well, and it's forcing both teams to mess up in certain situations, which is a lot better to see, in my opinion. It makes the game just a whole lot more entertaining. But into kind of the droning phase a little bit. It's a little bit late coming when trying to get this intel, as we see Jihui and Maddox are having a great time in sight as They're just making sure that crouch button is working properly. As X-Gyro's charges are going to be put onto the the Arsenal hatch. And it does force FryQueen into a bit of an interesting situation. And opting to actually peek up that hatch is very, very dangerous game to play. And could easily result in the death of the Pulse. But playing it smart is going to be FryQueen. And she's going to actually retreat off of peeking that very dangerous hatch.
I really like the Pulse pick here. It's a very common place to play Pulse because obviously all of the kitchen floor is destructible. So you can toss C4s up all day. And it can be very, very effective, especially if they bring the Thermite over to open up the hatch, because it'll stand still for quite a while, but they didn't do it this time around. They used the Hibana instead, which is the smart move, especially when you drone out the fact that there's a Pulse on the board. But at this point, we have to wonder what Victoria's Secret are going to plan for the rest of their attack. So you see little Lexi trying to poke in through the blue tunnel and see if there's anything she can do to flush out the defender who's behind the spoiler right here. Looking to ignore him for now, but how long is that going to be able to work, and how patient is the Jaeger going to be, is the other question. Looks like Jaeger is quite patient. He hears the footsteps, not quite able to get the kill yet, and Little Lexi's the one who can take that out, but Dope Girl peeks around the corner and refrags it right away. Meanwhile, it looks like a bandit trick was successful over on the church wall. That's going to take out one set of exothermic charge. Meanwhile, the rest of the defenders are in a position where they're starting to rotate back over toward the correct place to be. Sketchopotamus takes one out through peeking from Moto, and it looks like they're just going to start rushing in through Moto. FryQueen gets one as Sketchopotamus goes down, but the plant starts going down. Nobody following it up quite yet. Jahui peeks around the corner, gets one, and that leads Estrella to push in as well. Rachel Boo following up on that as well. 3 seconds left, but they don't have the diffuser in hand, and she actually peeks around the corner and gets the kill. Estrella just barely clutches that round out.
I don't know if FryQueen thought the plant was coming down or something was happening where she needed to rush into sight to deny that plant from potentially coming down, but that was a buzzer beater for the side of Victoria's Secret, and that kind of hurts for Disrupt because they were just so close of getting the biggest lead of the game, and then it just comes down to the last second, and Estrella has her crosshairs in the right spot, reacts fast enough, and is able to win out that round. There was, 2 seconds left? Maybe even 1 second. Estrella had the diffuser as well. So I don't know if there's maybe a lack of information for the DG players where they thought, okay, the plant's coming down, but they need to recognize the situations where it was probably smarter to maybe hold off just a little bit, because I don't think even in that 1 second, the Hibana had time to get on her knees, plant down the diffuser, and start typing. I think the round would have been essentially over. And if she did have enough time to start typing and get on to like the little computer and everything, it would have been a lot easier for the Pulse to, I don't know if the Pulse did have a C4 at that moment, but it would have been either way a lot easier for the Pulse to just confirm that one kill and the round's done.
See, an unfortunate bit of misinformation there is they just didn't know that the plant wasn't going down. But we also need to look at the rest of the round too, because there were a lot of things leading up to that point, putting them in that situation that that basically forced that to happen, and a lot of it came down to really good control by the side of the attacking team, where they had multiple different angles that they were covering. We saw an overhead view of it where they didn't overextend. They covered each other. They made sure that they pushed through the Moto. They pushed through Moto with each other. They were covering each other. Someone took out the Maestro, who was peeking all the way around through Blue Tunnel. It was a very strong set of positions that they had there, and I really like seeing that from the attacker team.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing relatively the same setup from DG. No operator changes. You still have that Pulse on the board. You still have that Alibi on the board, and they are going back to the same site. So in a close game just like that, you're kind of... I like this decision from a close round that we saw last time around. I like this decision from DG because just one little misstep or one little correction could easily give this right back to DG and they could take the lead here. So I'm liking the fact that they aren't necessarily adapting as much as you'd expect from a round loss, because there's still a lot of positives and a lot of little things that you can fix from that last round that you can take away and win this one here.
And speaking of, it seems like everyone is still on the board 1 minute and 30 seconds into the round, which is definitely something that benefits the defenders here. The attackers want to have a little bit more control than that at this point in the game, especially when you have someone like a Pulse on the board who can really be pretty clutch in those late situations, so long as he doesn't misjudge the plant going down. But yeah, soft destruction all across the board from the attacker side. And they're just opening angles for now, but they do need to start making something happen within the sort of the 1 minute mark. And we see, looks like, oh, actually, that bandit trick worked. Sketchopotamus was not able to prevent that, and one of the exothermic charges goes down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just barely heard the tick of the
yeah, I heard the little like
destruction. Yeah.
But that's going to be a huge play there from the bandit, as just getting rid of that utility is extremely important, because now I think the Thermite only has one more chance to try to get that wall open. If that wall isn't opened with 30 seconds left, it's going to result in quite a bit of a bottleneck from this attacking team, and they're probably just going to waddle in the lines of sight of all the defenders, and it looks like that's kind of what's shaping up to happen. Lil Lexi's, though, able to find one that's going to be on a Maddox, the Alibi playing down in blue. That's a good start, but you only have 15 seconds left, and there's a lot you need to do and check off your checklist if you want to have an effective execute. And talking about an execute, somehow the plant is coming down. FryQueen is able to find one in Australia, but it's just going to be all explosive for DG, and somehow it is turned into a 4v1, and the defenders win round number 9. It was so quiet for so long, and it reached that 10-second mark, and it was just all downhill from there, from Victoria's Secret, and that looked very good from Disrupt.
And a lot of times we see some Pro League teams, especially in EU, where when you get down to those 30 seconds left and you still have a 5v5 on the board, a lot of times their execute, they still make it work, but that's because they opened up so many sight lines. They did, like you said, they checked off most of the checklist before the execute needs to happen. On this side, Victoria's Secret didn't have a lot of those check marks down. They didn't have control over Blue Tunnel. They didn't have, there was still someone contesting the Blue Tunnel and basically killing whoever was there, who was the Zofia. They didn't have the church wall open. They didn't have big control over the kitchen hatch, and no one dropped Arsenal or anything like that. So overall, they didn't have the tools needed for them for it to warrant them waiting until 30 seconds left. If you don't have that sort of map control and that extra bit of angles down, then you have to execute sooner, and I think that's what Victoria's Secret didn't quite realize there.
Something that I'm actually starting to question from Disrupt is arguably the most viable site on Clubhouse is CCTV. CCTV is open right now for Disrupt, and they aren't going to it. They are opting to stick with the gym bedroom playstyle or that basement playstyle, which is definitely a little bit odd. I don't know if that is just a site they're not comfortable with playing, or maybe they know Victoria's Secret is really good at attacking it. It just seems kind of questionable, the fact that DG, instead of going to arguably the best site on this map, they're instead going to secondary bomb sites.
It is kind of weird, and I feel like maybe it might be that they don't have someone on their team who's really comfortable playing Garage. We know that, I don't remember what their other Clubhouse games were like, but we have to remember that Jahui is subbing in for WolfK, so perhaps WolfK is the person who holds down Garage. Again, I don't have the information, so I'm just like spitting out theoreticals here, but that could be a potential reason why they're not going there. But overall, I think even for having that sub, Disrupt has been playing really well, considering that, especially during this map. This map and the last map. The first map, maybe they had some growing pains or something, but this is definitely doing better, and FryQueen shows that it's exactly true, as she goes for a pretty zealous run out all the way from Dirt Tunnel, picking off someone who is outside of the jacuzzi wall. Now Maddox takes the head off of Estrella, playing all the way over here in CCTV. They're holding all of these long angles, and they're not giving the attackers any space.
Yeah, and these long angles where the angle is actually looking to the outside, typically the attackers are going to win that because more attackers have ACOGs than the defenders, but that's not the case here. 2 ACOGs are off the board with the Habana and the Thermite, and both of which were killed by Hollow, and both of which were on extremely long angles. So it's just a factor of mechanical skill here from DG is looking really, really good. But Sketchopotamus is trying to even up the table and the man count just a little bit, but it's going to be shut down there from Dope Girl as she just solidifies that 4 versus 2 now, making it Rachel Boo and Sketchopotamus, the last 2 operators left, to try and bring this round back and prevent match point from Disrupt. Rachel Boo and Sketchopotamus, they're in relatively safe positions, but they're not in really effective positions to do much to try to take back site or to kind of do anything on the site, because they're still focused on this cash room. The site reminder is not cash, it is gym bedroom, and they're not doing much to try to get on the site, maybe try to get a plant down, and well, now it's a 4v1 all up to Sketchopotamus, who's been sitting on this kind of subroof area, is going to have to watch multiple angles, is able to take down Jahui as Jahui peeks right into kind of a couple pings that are going to be pinning her exact location. So it's a 1v3. You still have 2 grenades left. You have a really good gun, but you only have 15 seconds left. So there is definitely a chance here for the Sledge to make something happen, but it's going to be extremely hard, and it's not even going to matter, as Disrupt have been put on to match point in what could be the final game for them before they decide who goes to the grand finals.
And this has been a really good comeback from Disrupt as well, considering they lost the first map 7-3. Things looked very shaky. The rounds they did win were off the back of some solo plays, but once they hit the next map, it was a chance for them to reset their mindset, and they're a momentum-based team, and the momentum flew way into their favor, taking that 7-1, and now they're looking pretty convincing here, especially on their defense. You know, their attack, they didn't get too big of an advantage on attack, but as Red Cube was saying before, this is a defender-sided map, so the fact that they went even was pretty good in the first place. And now they're pretty far ahead, 6-4, forcing match point. And I want to talk a little bit more about the last round in specific as well, because one thing that I want to see more about in regards to Victoria's Secret is that they should have put more emphasis on CCTV during that push. You know, Fry Queen's run out was a hard one to predict, because even though that's a run out that people do tend to do, it's a pretty risky run out, first of all. And second of all, committing a drone all the way over there is one that wastes a lot of time. You either have to spend the time to drive the drone all the way over to Dirt Tunnel to see if anyone's possibly going to run out there, or you can toss the drone over there, and then you have to drive it all the way back, or pick it up or anything like that if you want that drone left, or you basically have to use up that entire resource. So it's hard to see that one coming, but it's really easy to see the one from CCTV coming. That's much easier to drone out. You should probably already have people over there on that side of the map in the first place, if you're attacking a gym bedroom, and it's an incredibly common peek. Super common peek from that window, so the fact that they lost one member to that window was a big misplay.
Yeah, absolutely. But we are going to be seeing DG for the first time is going to go to CCTV, arguably, like we were talking about earlier on, the most reliable site here. So they could have easily been saving this site for a position like this where they just want to dust it up and clean up here and win this round, because we haven't seen anything from DG on this site before. They do have a player playing in Garage. It's going to be the Maestro, if I'm not mistaken. And this is setting up to be a very typical hold from DG. Nothing looks out of the ordinary. They look fairly comfortable. So just kind of connecting the dots with everything I just said, I really think they could have easily just been trying to save this site for a position like this, where they could just shut this game out.
They're definitely looking to shut this game out, considering they're doing a pretty good job at repelling the attackers so far. 1 minute and 30 seconds left, and they haven't really... the attackers haven't really gotten a lot of space. They haven't pushed into Garage. They haven't gotten the east wall open yet. So there's still a lot left to do, and Fry Queen is down here basically tying up Sketchopotamus this entire time. He's on his drone, he's trying to flush her out, and the longer this happens, the less time they'll have those 2 frag grenades for. And so this fight will finally happen, but oh no, she stops the aim down sights right before Fry Queen peeks the corner, and that means she's going to go down. Estrella will be there to clean it up and refrag that, but that's 2 minutes off the clock, and Sledge did basically nothing that entire round.
And also, no frag grenades were utilized. You lost your frag grenades, and the fact you lose a lot of utility with the Zofia going down. And this could easily be the famous final scene for Victoria's Secret as they are left into a position. They're on match point. They are down in man count. They don't have a lot of map control, and time is running out. A bunch of negatives and very little positives for the side of Victoria's Secret. It's going to be very hard to see what they can do, and it looks like this bandit trick actually is going to come off, so those Hibana charges won't even penetrate the wall. It's just all going downhill from here. Maddox is able to find another one, making it a 4v2. The run-up comes out, again, gets punished this time around, but Maddox has done her damage. It's 15 seconds left, 2v3. This could be it. They haven't even gotten that east wall open. They finally do. They only have 9 seconds left. They got to go for a plant here. Peak is going to come out. It's going to be making a 3v1, and just like that, Disrupt, after looking absolutely horrendous in the first map, win the next two, and they are going to be going up into the grand finals against the monster that is Artemis.
What a match that was. It was a lot closer than I expected, and honestly, Disrupt showed more of their map one. I think Victorious made a lot more mistakes during that final map, and it definitely showed with a lot of their panicking once things got down to the wire. A lot of their strats weren't completely set up. They didn't have the proper map control before some of their executes, and that just ended up allowing Disrupt to take the victory off of the back of some pretty nice frags and some pretty decent strategy on their side too.
That was definitely the Disrupt gaming that we knew that they could be. I was more impressed, honestly, with their work in that map than during the second map on Consulate. I felt like Victoria's Secret brought a better game to Clubhouse than they did to Consulate. I felt like it was a bit easier for Disrupt gaming on Consulate, but they were just, I thought, fantastic. And once they got that 5th, 6th, 7th round, they saw the light at the end of the tunnel and they sprinted for it. And now we are going to see Artemis, going up against Disrupt Gaming for the grand final tomorrow. Oh boy, it is going to be an exciting one. So we've got the brackets up here to show you. Obviously, earlier today, Artemis taking it 2 maps to none on Queen YOLO mid. Then Disrupt Gaming it taking it 2 maps to 1 after, as you were saying, Henry, a pretty tumultuous start to their campaign today, but they definitely righted the ship. And now they find themselves going for the #1 prize against Artemis. And honestly, I don't know how you guys feel, but if they can play that way, or even a bit better, if they keep trending upwards like they have throughout the day, they could give Artemis a tough time.
I think, okay, going into the grand finals, in the game of Siege, in every competitive league, there's a fine print that tells you what's wrong and what is right. Going into the grand finals, all those lines have been read. Every single piece of fine print has 100% been read through, and it's just up to the players at this point to capitalize on that, do what they do best, and play their game. If we see the best Artemis, and if we see the best Disrupt, I'm still going to have to put my money on Artemis. I think Artemis has been through and through the more consistent team throughout the regular season. I think they are a stronger team when it comes to when they show their best form. And the thing that you got to keep thinking of is Disrupt, they were kind of inconsistent this game against Victoria's Secret. They played really well in that last game. I think the last game really shows what they can bring to the table, because Victoria's Secret were also playing very well. But what Disrupt is going to show up tomorrow? And even if the best Disrupt we've ever seen shows up tomorrow, is it going to be enough to beat Artemis? I don't know.
What's the worst that we've seen Artemis? Artemis's worst is most teams, like, their very best day. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Disrupt, unfortunately, so Disrupt's highs are pretty high. I think when Disrupt are on their game, they could potentially match Artemis. But the problem has been that Disrupt aren't always at that high, and they actually fluctuate quite a bit. So in order for them to beat Artemis, they definitely have to buckle down. They have 1 day to prepare. They have 1 day to figure out what worked about their mindset during especially the third game, but also the second game, or the second map, and try to channel that and make sure that they can get that to the grand finals tomorrow, because that's going to be the decider there. If Disrupt doesn't bring their 100% for pretty much the entire series, then I think Artemis is going to win. And I'm looking at the past. During their regular season, Artemis beat Disrupt on Cafe 7-1, which is a crazy scoreline. That's as hard as Disrupt beat Victorious on the second map here. And that was a slaughter. So maybe that's in the back of their mind. Maybe we're definitely going to have to see. But yeah, Disrupt, they have a hill ahead of them. And as far as Artemis goes, the pressure's on, right? They're the ones that are expected to win. They're the ones that are expected to perform. And we'll see if that gets to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also, just before Brimstone, you cut back in again, I also want to say that 7-1 victory was in week number 6. It wasn't like a week 1 or week 2 matchup. Week number 6 was the midpoint of the season, and there was still 3 weeks to be played. But you can take a lot more away from that game in terms of how much the teams have improved, because there was just a lot less time that they could have improved from that week 1 matchup that we were talking about with Victoria's Secret and Disrupt. So Artemis having a 7-1 victory against Disrupt in week number 6, and also the Artemis we've seen today and the Disrupt we've seen today, everything is stacking up against Disrupt. But who's to say they don't just knock it all down and put on an absolute show and shut down Artemis tomorrow? That could definitely happen.
It's absolutely within their grasp at this point, and hopefully, maybe they'll use that as a motivating factor to tell themselves, look, all we got to do is take 2 more maps. We had a tough matchup today, Victoria's Secret coming in as the 2nd seed team. They beat them. They just got to go up against the 1st seed team now. Don't get inside your own head. Don't get intimidated. Just come in and play your best game. Play the 2 games you played today. Don't play the first game that you played today. Play the second 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Either way, though, some fantastic matches today, both on the EU side and the NA side. We have completed our semifinals for the day. Tomorrow we go to the grand finals. For our EU side, that'll start at 3 p.m. CET. So tune in for that. And then it would be 4:30 CET for the grand finals. But of course, and same with NA, where it'll be 4 p.m. EST, grand finals being 5:30 EST. You're going to want to tune in for that 3rd place match, not only to catch the match, but also make sure that if those matches run quick or run late, either way, you're not banking on that final time for the grand finals, because you don't want to miss a minute of it. We are going to have some crazy matches tomorrow that you can be sure of. So just to sum up, I want to thank you guys. I don't believe that either of you will be on tomorrow, barring any last minute changes. It's North America, so who knows? But thank you guys so much. Both of you have contributed so much to this season, coming and casting for us. And although you haven't casted yet today, I'll say myself, I think you two did a fantastic job today. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing competition so far. We had a bit of a discussion earlier with Jess. It was her brainchild for this whole series, this whole concept, and it's been just an amazing ride so far. Azaraki, any final words for yourself before we sign off?
I'm excited to see tomorrow. I'm excited to see both the NA and EU, as well as the 3rd place match and the grand finals. So even looking at the 3rd place match, we have a similar storyline where Victorious, their highs are really good, and I think their highs are actually better than Queen YOLO mids. But if Victorious played like they did today, then there's just a lot of shakiness there. So there's so many questions. We're going to see the answers tomorrow, and I'm excited.
And for you,
Yeah.
Henry, Red Cube?
I 100% agree. It's going to be an absolute treat tomorrow, EU and NA. And I also just want to say thank you to Ty for giving me the opportunity to cast CCSW this season. It's been an absolute blast. And I also want to thank all the viewers for just kind of accepting the casters and kind of opening your arms and taking time out of your day to enjoy the production that we put on, and everybody else that puts it on, such as people controlling the camera, people controlling the OBS. They don't get enough credit, but make sure you give everybody your thanks, as we all appreciate it so much, and it's been an absolute blast. It's going to be the end for my run with CCSW for now, but I cannot wait for tomorrow. I will be in chat. I will be watching very, very intensely, because it's going to be good.
And I do want to make sure that we do shout out our production crew. We've got
absolutely.
Ted Meister, DJ Dextrose, and Netflix. They've been working really hard, and they're awesome people. So definitely shout outs to them.
The show doesn't go on without them. It's simple as that.
Not only does it not go on, they honestly make our job so easy. They make the production seamless. I mean, even today, the moment by moment, we have technical difficulties here or there, and not because of them. They're the ones that help us through those technical
Yeah.
difficulties and make the day a lot easier. So big thanks to them for sure. Absolutely. And now we'll just sign off. I want to thank everyone, just as Henry said there, the viewers. We couldn't do it without you guys. It's been a fantastic run with the viewership. So please continue to
Yes.
support. Please continue to support these amazing women playing Rainbow Six. This league is also made as successful because of you guys, the viewers, for them to give them the spotlight that they deserve and help them grow and get better and better. Hopefully, see them at even greater heights as time goes on. But thank you so much, and we hope we'll see you tomorrow for the grand finals. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.